I hope John feels better.
Here we go. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Wicomico County Council Legislative Session 2025-02 for January 21st. Now. Let's try December 2nd, 2025. Remind me to call John.
Right.
For those that'd like to join us in the Lord's Prayer and Pledge of Allegiance, please do.
Our Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name.
thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Getting set for a big night, are you?
Yeah. Forgot I had this on.
All right. I'd like to entertain a motion from council to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any discussion, corrections? Consent agenda passes unanimously. It says good morning.
It is evening.
Good evening, Mrs. Hurley.
Good evening, Mr. Vice President, council members, ladies and gentlemen. The first order of business this evening is the election of officers pursuant to Charter Section 303, which states, at its first meeting in December of each year, the council shall elect from among its members by a vote of the majority of the total number of council members established by this charter, a president and vice president. The president, or in his absence, the vice president, shall establish the agenda and preside at all meetings. On all questions before the council, the president and vice president shall have and may exercise the vote to which is entitled as a council member. Tonight is the election of the president and vice president. We'll start with the nominations for president. Are there any nominations for president?
Madam Chairman, I nominate John Cannon for president.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, all those in favor of John Cannon as president, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next we'll have the nominations for vice president. Are there any nominations for vice president?
I'll nominate Jeff Merritt.
Okay, are there any other nominations? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of Jeff Merritt as vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
We didn't want to run the meetings.
She really meant that.
The next item for business is a public hearing on resolution number 225-2025. This is amending the fiscal year 26 capital budget to reallocate $100,000 from the Poplar Neck Drainage Pipe Project to fund the fuel tank system upgrade project. The Wicomico County Department of Public Works Roads Division is requesting a $100,000 budget transfer to the FY26 fuel tank system upgrade project to cover unforeseen project costs. The requested funds would be transferred from the Poplar Neck Drainage Pipe Project, which has a surplus due to the work being done completed in-house by the Roads Division. And we do have Mr. Adam Corey here, our Acting Director of Public Works, if you have any questions.
Okay, floor is open for a comments, public hearing. If anybody has any comments, please step up to the podium.
Jim Atkins, Wicomico County. I apologize in advance if any of these numbers are not accurate, but This is all the information I can find, so this is what I'm going with. In fiscal year 25, there was a budget proposal for $200,000 listed for the Poplar Neck drainage pipe. Again, in fiscal year 26, there was another $200,000 listed. So was it a $400,000 project, or was it not completed in FY 25? So it was moved into 26. So it's only a $200,000 project. Either way, if the project was projected at 200,000, why did it only come in at 100,000? Probably because work was done in-house, which saved 100,000. Why wasn't the in-house work figured in the original cost? So we would have thought it was only going to cost 100,000 instead of 200,000. The Public Works fuel system upgrade was budgeted at $807,500. So apparently if it needs another 100,000, it was underbid 12.5%, which seems to be an ongoing process in this county when it comes to bidding projects. Now you're being told that the added expenses due to, and I quote, unexpected adjustments in project cost and identified unforeseen costs for project completion. My concern is either we have unqualified or incompetent people bidding out these projects, or as I previously mentioned, maybe these projects are being overestimated so that monies can be moved around from one project to another, with the council never knowing for sure how much money was spent on a particular project. Go back and look at the minutes from the council meeting on October the 7th. At least 3 times during that meeting, the council members asked how much the airport fuel farm was overbid. They have yet to get an answer to that question. So far this year, starting in July, the council has already agreed to transfer monies from 3 other projects that total $784,750. If the county has a manager civil engineer that has a salary of over $110,000, we deserve better details and accuracy in planning and developing bids for this county. If the county is acting as a general contractor, they should have all the bids from the appropriate parties, and they should be held to these bids. One thing that I was really interested in the previous lifetime, I was a distribution manager, and I had to pay my employees overtime for them to fuel their trucks in the morning and in the evening. So in order to eliminate that cost and not wanting to incur the cost of a fuel farm on the company property, we contracted with a local fuel supplier who came to our property every night, refueled all our vehicles. We had no fuel farm. We had no EPA regulations. We had no expense. And our trucks were fueled every evening. Was this ever looked at? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Adkins. Any more comments on this public hearing? Mr. Corey. Thank you for being here.
Mr. Mayor, you need to go first and second. You need to go first and second.
You make a motion.
Okay, a motion to,
I'd like to make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to accept Resolution 225-2025. So moved. Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Who's second?
Discussion
Okay.
next.
All right, now we go to you guys.
Pam Olin, Finance Director.
Adam Corey, Deputy Director of Public Works.
So, as council is aware, when we have projects that have been completed under budget, instead of taking additional funds from our fund balance, we ask for these projects to be reallocated. This project, like all projects, we make an estimate when we are doing a project because we are not allowed to talk to vendors while we're setting up a budget, because if we do, then they're precluded from bidding. That is our rules. And so we are making best estimates based on information that we have at the time when we are creating these budgets. And additionally, we don't have machines that can see underground and know soil conditions while we're doing projects until we actually get underground or open a wall like when you renovate your home. So things change. We were lucky enough that we were able to actually perform the Poplar Neck project in-house and save the county money. So instead of taking additional money out of our fund balance and having this project money sitting there and not be used, we are asking for it to be reallocated to a project that needs additional funds. Thus, we are asking for the $100,000 transfer.
Cool. Corey?
Yeah, certainly. So just to give you a little bit of background on both projects, the Poplar Neck drainage crossover was completed in August of 2024. It came in right around $96,000. That's including our materials, our labor, all that cost. That was done in-house, and I'm proud to say it was very, very good work. I was like the first project I saw when I came on board. So I really want to say that the roads division takes on more and more responsibilities from a in-house standpoint, and we want to try to look to them all the time as much as we possibly can to try to save costs for the county by allowing the roads division to do this work in-house if we're capable of doing it. Now that leads me to my point about the AST farm. I spent about 10 years of my career with Maryland Department of the Environment with the oil control program, with AST underground storage tanks as well, fuel systems, remediation sites, the whole list goes on. One of the things we found when we started doing our SPCC and all operations permit renewal for the roads division in spring, late winter and spring of last year, was that you had such aged infrastructure. We have two 12,000-gallon above-ground storage tanks, one for diesel, one for gasohol, underground piping, containment sumps underneath our dispensers, typical, kind of old school. It's been there for a long time and served its purpose. When you start doing cathodic protection testing on the metal itself, the pitting, the thinness, if you will, of the metal, and your interstitial space. So you have a double-walled tank. That way you have the ability to capture a leak from a primary cylinder of a vessel before it gets to the environment, in that it's effectively a tank inside of a tank. Well, when we tested those interstices, they were full of water. One of them did not have a functioning meter in there whatsoever. So we started looking at containment sumps, we started looking at the piping itself, and at that point, there's really no way to get ourselves into compliance without a full system upgrade. Well, once you find out that your tank thickness of your steel that you have is deteriorated that much, and it's just due to age, it's not worth putting money into a full dispensing system upgrade while you still have really bad tanks. So that's when we started trying to work with our EAs, the same engineering firm that put our 90% plans together, and we started doing cost estimates on what it would be, and the estimate came in there exceeding $800,000. So we went back to the drawing board. How can we save some money? Well, one of the things we can do to save some money is, instead of contracting out the demolition, contracting out the pre-closure assessment, post-closure assessment, sampling, and reporting to MDE, because that's all required for AST systems as well as underground storage tank systems, that while we are putting this all together for one solitary project, demolition, closure of our existing systems, and the upgrade and replacement to the new AST system, all in one scope, is to try to do at least the upfront work, the demolition part. The repaving, once it's all done, let's have that done in-house. So we said, okay, what's that going to look like? About $36,000 more than we had anticipated in the previous bid before actually going to RFP. At the end of the day, when you look at what it would cost to have a private entity in an RFP give us a price for not only the construction of the system itself, but also to do the pre-assessment, post-closure, reporting, and demolition, we are going to save money. Now, can I put a dollar value on that? that's above $100,000 worth of savings? I'm not 100% certain. Is it $50,000 to $75,000 worth of savings overall? Very likely based on the estimates we have right now. But we had monies available in that were CIP monies, $200,000 that were loaded from the Poplar Neck, since we were able to keep that at $96,000. Figured it's a good use of funds to move it over to this project.
And the $96,000 ended up coming out of the operating budget. So this capital project, we actually did not spend any money out of. As I have stated at this table before, we are planning, when we come to council with the CIP, to look at projects that have been completed and reallocate those funds so that we don't have to take additional fund balance for monies that's just sitting there not being used for other projects. So again, we are being fiscally smart, using funds that is just sitting there allocated to a project that we're not going to do because it got done, and it got done in fiscal '25, but capital funds roll year to year. They don't expire at the end of a fiscal year. Once they're loaded in the capital fund, they stay there until either we revert them back to the general fund or revert them to another project. We're asking for them to be reverted to another project.
And effectively, that $96,000 was absorbed into the road's actual operating budget. It didn't come out of the capital for Poplar Neck drainage. So in hindsight, the planning for that project, if we had said from the start, back in 2024, when we do this project, let's just do it operating budget and do it in-house, we wouldn't have even put it in the CIP. I think that would have been the way to go. And I think moving forward, it's probably worth looking at.
We are doing that in some instances. Again, you have to understand the CIP that put Poplar Neck in was created in the fall of '23. The capital budget that funded this went in June of '24. And then ultimately, we did the project in August of '24 and made the decision based on the employees that we had at that time that we could actually do it in-house. And thus, we used operating budget, not capital budget, and now we have these capital funds available.
Is that indicative of projects like this? A lot of times you don't know what you're getting into until you've gotten into it.
I think which you're specifically talking about the fuel systems. Mm-hmm. Okay. The fuel systems, there's a lot of variables that go into that, there's no doubt. And as you try to develop the strategy on replacement, repair, or remediating a portion of the system itself, I think we were going at the decision tree was, okay, can we get away with doing this much? Like 1/3 of the process, which was, again, dispensing operations and lines. Can we do that? You start developing your plan that way, and you start cost estimates that way. But then you realize the heart of the system itself, your tanks, aren't worth putting any more effort into, and that's where you run into those unexpected costs.
And again, like the Poplar Neck, we started the process with the fuel in the spring of 2025. We put it in the budget in June of 2025 for a July 1 date. Well, as you keep moving forward in this process, you find out more information. And like any project, there is a possibility that it could be higher, and there's a possibility that it can be lower. And we have both of those in this resolution, and we're asking for the lower one to help pay for the higher one.
Okay. Questions?
So you had 200,000 in the capital budget for Poplar Neck, correct?
Yes.
Okay, but you didn't use any of that?
Correct.
Okay. But you only used 100,000 from the general fund for Poplar Neck?
Correct.
So the 200,000 that's in the capital budget, where is that? Is that rolling over?
So right now, it has rolled from fiscal '25 to fiscal '26 in the capital budget.
What's it earmarked for?
Well, that's why we're asking for 100,000 of it now to be moved to this other project. Mm-hmm. And then my intention is during the CIP is that we are coming to you with a new line that you guys haven't seen in several years, at least since I've been in this role, where we're reallocating funds for projects that have closed and/or projects that ultimately we have accomplished in a different way and thus do not need those capital funds. Thus, typically when we set up a budget, you'll find a line item in the revenue that says use of fund balance. Well, we will be able to do less of a use of fund balance because we already have it in the capital project fund, and it will just be reallocated to other projects. So the intention is this additional $100,000 that's sitting in the capital project fund will go towards something in probably 2027 for capital project.
So was there any capital money earmarked for the fuel system?
Yes, $807,000.
$7,000.
That was in 2026's budget, and now we're based on estimates and the expanded scope, it now looks like it's $907,000.
So I guess what bothers me most about this is a few months ago, we took $500,000 out of the roads budget to prop up the pension system. And I know that at the last budget hearing the county executive had, there were people concerned about roads, and I've even expressed those concerns, especially about one road that's still in bad shape. It's not fixed yet. And we're moving another $100,000 out of basically what that $100,000 could be put toward road paving or whatever.
But roads uses this fuel farm.
I understand that.
So
Yeah.
it is equipment that roads uses and
solid waste.
solid waste both use. And so it's equipment that is necessary for us to actually be able to go out onto our roads.
Right.
So again,
But you,
the money is not in the operating budget any longer. It has been moved out. It has been moved out to be used for a capital project. That is what the intention was, and what we're asking for is the capital project that it is used for to be a different one.
as far as the extra $100,000 that you need for the fuel farm, you had that set up on a capital budget, which would have been borrowed money, correct?
No,
it wasn't?
pay-go. It was out of fund balance.
Pay-go, okay, all right. So there
So
was
again,
another,
that's the other piece I'm looking at for CIP is leftover bond funds, but it's not this simple to reallocate bond funds. Bond funds have to go through a whole separate process. I actually was on the phone with Lindsay Rader, our bond counsel, today. Bond funds cannot just be you transfer one project to another project. The fact that the project numbers start with a 32, that is indicative of the fact that these monies came out of fund balance from the general fund into the capital project fund, and we have the authority then to move those between the projects.
that's all I
I have a
have.
question. I'm talking about it as a regular citizen. I know you said you could not contact the vendors until you do the budget. That's what you said?
We are not allowed, if you want a vendor to actually be able to bid on a project, any project that the county has, any type of bid, we can't go to a specific vendor and ask them to help us write specs, help us get an estimate, because what that does is that taints, and then it does not become a fair playing field for everybody who is doing a bid on a project. So we have to either hire that's why we hire engineers a lot of times to help us write bid specs and all that kind of stuff, because we don't have all of that expertise in-house. But again, costs for everybody are escalating, and the scope of this project expanded. So again, I can't go to a company that manufactures fuel tanks and say, hey, what would you give me as an estimate so that I can put that in my budget? Because if I do, now, if I can look it up on the internet, I can do that. But I can't literally call up a company that does tanks and say, hey, give me an estimate, because then they will not be allowed to bid on the project, because per procurement, our procurement rules, to make it fair to everybody who has the ability to bid on our projects, there can't be the appearance of somebody having a shoe in the door already.
Okay, I understand.
If I may, in my world in construction, we have routinely been asked to do budgetary pricing, and for governmental agencies, if it's open to however many, and you let the contractors know up front. I'm just throwing this out if this has ever been pursued, that this is a budgetary exercise. It depends on the scope. You don't want to ask them to do something for every small job. But I also think that using vendors, for informational purposes, and I understand what you're saying as far as the fairness aspect, but you gather information together from as many vendors as you possibly can. And to be quite honest, I've seen times when in Wicomico County, this hasn't been done and you don't end up with as good a project. Then, given that raw information, turn it over to EA or some engineering firm. Your vendors will do a lot of work free for you, believe me, and you'll come out with a better end product, and you'll have a better budgetary idea.
So-
And you turn it over to an engineer so that you're lessening the amount of work they have to do in cost, but you're still getting a good scope of work at the end of the day.
So we will have to take a look at our procurement rules to see if that is something that we could write into them for the future.
We could, from what I understand, we could do a budgetary RF request for qualification, and then you could possibly do a budgetary RFP. I think it's possible.
But
Yeah.
that also takes time for us.
Grand scheme of a project
In
like
terms
this.
of the accuracy, which we're making note of, the fact that there have been some wide variations, and that's what I think some folks are thinking about, and that's what I'm thinking about
Yeah.
as well. Maybe that would lessen that and get you a little bit more
The
pinpoint.
nice thing with this project is
Yeah.
EA did work on the outside with other vendors because they serve a lot of different organizations, not just our county, but many other private businesses as well for all of their fuel system needs. And it wasn't out of thin air. There's no doubt about
To
that.
your point, I would think in that situation, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes your engineering estimates can be good if it is their area of expertise.
And it is.
If it's not, you can also get some wild numbers, but I don't disagree with using them for this particular instance. I was looking more at the general situation.
Sure.
And again, we expanded the scope of this is part of the reason for the expanded cost. Because again, we originally thought we were going to do X, Y, and Z, and now we've added A, B, and C.
Okay. Any further discussions or questions? Ms. Hurley, this is a vote, right?
Right.
All right. All those in favor of Resolution 225-2025 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried unanimously. Resolution passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Next is a presentation by the Compensation Allowance Commission, and we have Chairwoman Michelle Wright here, along with some of the members from the commission.
Evening. Thank you all for being here. If we could go from my left to right, state your name.
Steve Doubt.
Michelle Wright.
Joe White.
All right, thank you.
You ready for us?
Chairwoman Wright, the floor is yours. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I'm a rose between two thorns or a thorn between two roses.
Thank you for the great work. Thank you for the great work your team did, your committee
Yes,
did.
I'm very proud of our group and what we've accomplished.
It's a lot of work.
So I want to say good evening to our Vice President, Mr. Merritt, our council members, and our citizens. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. Joe White here that you've already met, and Steve, who volunteered to help present the report tonight. I also want to ask our commission members that are in the audience if you would please stand. I want them to be recognized as well. Can you say your name real quickly, and then that will.
Joe Venosa, Salisbury.
Jim Matthews.
Joe Schiaffino, Salisbury. Robert Taylor. Stephen Feliciano.
Okay. Thank you all for being here tonight as well. So these folks have volunteered their time. We've spent several hours and weeks to complete this task that you asked us to do. I realize that this report is in front of you. You have it in your board book, but I think it's important that the citizens in the audience and also the ones at home are well informed. If I can start, in accordance with Chapter 18 of the Wicomico County Code and Charter, Section 204, The Wicomico County Council established the commission to recommend the compensation and allowance for the following positions: the county executive, the county council being the president, vice president, and members, and for the sheriff. On May the 7th, 2025, a press release was issued seeking community members to establish the commission. During legislative session on June 17, 2025, Resolution 80-2025 passed to appoint 11 members and 2 alternates. The newly formed commission met biweekly. We started meeting on July 29, 2025, and continued through August, September, and October, and concluded our work on November the 5th. These meetings were recorded and posted on the county website, as well as the minutes of the meeting. I believe that you did a good job appointing a diverse group of citizens from different backgrounds. We have citizens that work in or who have worked in the private sector, higher education, business, nonprofit organizations, city government, and a retired attorney. This created great ideas and good conversations. At our first meeting, we agreed to take one branch at a time. We would focus on the county executive position first, vote on a recommendation, and then move to the county council, and then move to the sheriff. The commission conducted extensive discussions and reviewed comparative data from Cecil County, Frederick County, and Anne Arundel County. Additional information was provided by the Maryland Association of Counties fiscal year 2025 survey. You have in your packet attached some data and other information that we used to make our decisions. To further inform our members, the commission invited Katie Garvin, Human Resource Manager, to review the county benefits for elected officials. That information included health insurance coverage and options, pension and death benefits, long-term disability plans, 457B, 401A deferred compensation plans, optional benefits to employees, including the American Fidelity, Mutual of Omaha, and Spot Insurance, and health insurance for retirees. During our discussion, we thought it would be a good idea if we invited some key officials to give us a first-hand understanding of what each elected position included. We met with former county executive John Posada. He provided a perspective on the daily responsibilities and challenges of serving as a county executive. We did have a meeting scheduled with our current county executive, Julie Giordano, but we completed our work, so we didn't have a need to really meet with her at that point. We were also going to meet with our past executive, Rick Pilot, but he became ill that day and wasn't able to attend. We also asked to meet with our county council president, John Cannon, vice president Jeff Merritt, and councilman Joe Holloway. Each of these gentlemen discussed their duties and time commitments as council members, which was very helpful in making our decision. We then met with Sheriff Mike Lewis, who outlined the scope of his responsibilities, the divisions he oversees, and how the Wicomico County Sheriff's Office compares to those in other Maryland counties. These discussions provided the commission with valuable insight into the workload, expectations, and level of accountability associated with each elected position. We started looking at key factors in helping us make a decision. Those factors included the population size, county budget comparisons, private sector, nonprofit sectors, a 2% annual adjustment in lieu of a cost of living increase, number of citizens served, number of departments managed or supervised, roles, responsibilities, and performance expectations, other departments and employee salaries, and potential of inflation and/or recession. With all this being said, we focus on the job duties and the time to complete those duties, not the person that has served or who is currently serving. These positions had no name and no face. So based on all the information that we reviewed and discussed, we are recommending the following. For the county executive, who has a current salary of $107,000, we are recommending a $2,000 annual step increase beginning December of 2026. And then we did verify with the county attorney that this would be allowed and acceptable. So in 2026, December, the salary would increase to $109,000. 2027, or year 2027, it would increase to $111,000. In the year 28, it would increase to $113,000. And in the year 29, it would increase to $115,000. This passed on September the 24th with 8 in favor and 2 opposed. For the county council, we discussed the county council president with a current salary of $25,000. Again, we're recommending a $1,500 annual step increase beginning December of 2026. So in 2026, it would increase to $26,500. 27 would be $28,000. In year 28, it would be $29,500. In year 29, it would be increased to $31,000. For the county vice president with a current salary of $23,000, the commission recommends a $1,500 annual step increase, again, beginning December of year 2026. So in 26, it would go to $24,500. In year 27, $26,000. In year 28, $27,500. In year 29, it would be increased to $29,000. And for council members with a current salary of $21,000, the commission recommends a $1,500 annual step increase. For year 26, it would be increased to $22,500. Year 27 would be $24,000. In year 28, $25,500. And year 29, it would increase to $27,000. And this vote was taken on October the 7th, at 6 in favor, 3 opposed, and 1 abstained. We then moved to the sheriff. So with the current salary of $117,000, the commission recommends a $6,000 annual step increase beginning December of 2026. So in December 2026, it would be $123,000, and 27 would increase to $129,000. In year 2028, it would be $135,000. In year 29, $141,000. And this vote was taken on October the 22nd, and it was unanimous vote for that recommendation. So just to summarize, your Wicomico County Compensation and Allowance Commission respectfully submits that you consider the recommendations that I've just covered. This would include the Wicomico County Executive, the County Council, and the Sheriff. These recommendations are submitted following careful review, open discussion, comparative data analysis, and direct engagement with officials. Also, considering the fact that Wicomico County's median household income is one of the lowest in Maryland, the Commission made every effort to be fair to both the county taxpayers as well as the positions it considered. The Commission believes these adjustments fairly reflect the scope of the responsibility that you asked from us, the level of service, and the leadership expected of the Wicomico County elected officials. I would like to thank our Commission members for your time, your openness, for willing to be open to other thoughts, and for working with me to complete this mission. I also would like to thank Mrs. Hurley. The county is very lucky to have her. She is kind, helpful, very knowledgeable, and she made this process very easy for us. And I will open it up to my other members and see if they have any additional comments.
I'll definitely add thank you, Mrs. Hurley. I know we've asked every one of our members for a ton of information from a lot of people, we dove down a lot of rabbit holes. So this is just a summary of, you can see Michelle's got pages and pages of information we took into this. So definitely thank you to everyone helping out for that.
I would agree. Ms. Hurley allowed this, and Ms. Ingold from one meeting allowed a lot of the work we had to go through to process, and it did go as smooth as could be expected. When you listen to the dates of the votes, we didn't even start voting until most of the way through the process. Very early on, where we do come from very many different backgrounds, we spent a lot of time discussing what data points we even wanted to discuss. And although you got a summary version, those videos are on YouTube. They're on PAC 14's YouTube. You can really get to see the presentations we listened to. They were discussed, but that was the longest part of the process. So.
Does anybody have any questions for us that hopefully we can answer?
Go ahead, James.
I was going to say that I thought that was a very unique idea to do the steps. I didn't think of that, and when I saw you guys talking about it at a commission, I was like, man, that's a pretty good idea. And I mean, that's if everyone's okay with it, but I think everything here looks I mean, it's fair. It's not like it's out of the, it's not like we're shooting for the moon, but we are right where we need to be, I think. My personal opinion, I think you guys did a very nice job doing this. And I did watch, I think, 3/4 of the videos, and you guys did a nice job. Thank you.
Well, thank you for all the work you did. I was, I think I attended 2, maybe 3 of the meetings. It was a very, very thought-out process you went through. I guess I haven't read the minutes and haven't watched the videos of the other. On your votes, I guess it explains who voted for what in your minutes, yet the yes and no's, or
Yes.
does it just go into the amount of people? So it's very explicit on who voted for what and who voted against what in your minutes.
Yeah, you'll be able to see on the video, and it's
see
also
that,
in
yeah.
our minutes who,
Apologize.
how everybody voted.
Yeah. I guess one thing I want to point out, going back to the beginning, let's see if I can find it here. You're really in that, I think in that charge, you're only, chapter 18 of the code, you're only really charged with the county executive and the county council
Correct.
as far as the salaries go. The sheriff was taken on, I guess, as a volunteer type situation where you took that on.
Yeah, my understanding is that it can be done either way. The county can take it on, or it can be done legislatively. I served on this commission 4 years ago, which was my first time, and it was discussed then, and the county took it on. So we did have that discussion in one of our first meetings, that this was an option, and I think we all agreed that we would just go ahead and tackle it and
Right.
handle it county.
Did you have any conversations? Like I say, I haven't read the minutes. I know you looked into a lot of situations where other people were being paid in different counties. Citizens, how many citizens there were. Did you have any conversations about the state of the economy and the situation that our state is in now with this $1.6 billion budget shortfall? Was there any conversations about that whatsoever?
We did, and as you can see from the votes, we didn't always agree. And this was why the option came to do the raises and steps. When you're looking at every year, you discuss raises for the county employees. At those times, you're taking the economy into consideration. One of the earliest aspects we had to come up with was what data we would look at and what data was kind of noise. And take the sheriff, for instance. Not every county has a sheriff's office that works both criminal and civil. So that was something that we had to compare. Not every county has a commercial airport. We're one that does, and that falls under the sheriff's department. It was definitely, I think, more challenging with the executive office. And one of the things we looked at there was how many residents in Wicomico County live in a municipality, which is almost half. And a lot of executive function is done. If you live in Delmar, Fruitland, and Stephen brought this perspective really well for us from a municipal government standpoint. Some of that executive function actually comes from your municipality, wastewater, also police. So there was some of that. But as Michelle said in the presentation, we didn't always agree. It was that everybody got a chance to have the conversation, though. That was one thing.
So was there ever any discussion of the economy got worse? And, the state, what happens, the state passes things down to the county. Like when we got into the recession back in 07, 08, we lost $7 million in roads funding. Was there any conversation about what we would do if that happened, whether there would be any options to decrease these salaries?
There was, and there's not. If when you all pass this, these salary increases would be there, and that was a concern for some of us on the committee. That once these were approved, there was nothing that you could do to take them back if the finances got worse.
Right. Okay.
I'm not sure if legally you can reduce the salary once it's
I think in the charter, doesn't it say something about a minimum? Maybe Paul could even answer to that. There's a minimum that has to be paid. I know for the county executive, there's a minimum. I don't know about council, but I think so it probably could be reduced. But.
And we pointed out several times that we know that we're coming to you with a recommendation.
I understand.
And that, you know more about the financial piece with the state and the county than we do working through this process. So, we feel like that we came to you with a fair recommendation, and we know that you can accept it, you can reduce it, or not do anything. So we understand that in the process.
You did a great job of running the meetings anyway, I know that.
Thank you.
And everybody there, did a great job and showed a lot of interest. So anyway, that's all I have, Mr. Merritt.
Thank you. Councilman Hastings?
I just want to say, of course, thank you all for all your hard work on this. I guess also for context, we did update the salaries 4 years ago. Before that, I believe it was 1994, the last time it was updated before that. You had all had just mentioned as far as your particular look at, what the charter says we were supposed to do, or what this compensation allowance committee should be doing. Did you discuss any of the potential changes to, or let me back this up, and I don't expect you have an answer to this. I said 4 years ago that the language as it is written for this commission is problematic in the sense that you often have folks who are potentially going to run for office and then they're voting on their salaries. And it also it goes out of its way for whatever reason in Section 204, saying that basically the county council has to make these decisions, and then it's the succeeding council that is when it takes effect. I firmly believe, I said it 4 years ago, I said it again, I think that that this probably needs to be changed within the charter. I know that's not something that you all or that we all can immediately do here and now, but I don't know if you had any discussion about that. Don't you? I don't want to lead you, but I mean, where I'm going, and I'll be very clear, I think this should be 4 years out. I think you should be constantly making a decision of compensation looking ahead one entire term. That way we're always looking at it in a more fair and equitable way. Did the commission discuss that at all? And I only ask that as this might spur other further conversation on this.
I don't recall any discussion pertaining to that at all. I think we just tried to stay focused on the task that was before us for this 4-year period. I know that there are some questions on how things should be done, who should be doing it, making those kinds of decisions. But I do remember saying in our meetings that we are here to do this task, and it's up for you and other folks to make those decisions for change.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Question to Mr. Hastings. Are you saying actually a whole term ahead of, they're putting together suggestions for the next term. You're saying one after that?
I believe it should be one after that. I believe we should always be looking 4 years ahead. I said that 4 years ago. I say it again. But our charter does not, if I'm reading it correctly, does not allow us to do so. I think we need to change the charter, which is
some other comments. I'm not sure. I would think that would be a little bit problematic to think that far in advance. I don't disagree with your idea as far as trying to keep it from someone voting for their own salary. I get that, but that would be quite a ways out. I just want to echo what everybody else has said. The amount of work that went into this is evident, and the amount of thoughtfulness, and I appreciate the work that you all did. I'm glad, Mr. White, you made the comment about there were disagreement, because if there's disagreement, that means everybody is thinking, and it's not always that everybody is going to have the exact right same idea. Let's see, all the increases seem to be reasonable to me. I would say, I know we're going to vote this sometime later on, but it seems to be reasonable, and again, good thoughtfulness, especially given the condition of Wicomico County and like that. So again, I'd just like to say thank you, and there was a lot of good thought put to it. Yeah.
And I want to say, too, I know you did a lot of work. Just from your presentation and the summary that you gave, And I appreciate this because some people have served on boards with no backup documentation. I won't call no names, but but you should have minutes and you should research things. But you all did a good job. And I appreciate that, and I would recommend any of you to sit on another commission. Because you have those minutes.
Yeah, I have to say that I'm very proud to be asked to serve. I'm very proud with the people that have served with me on this commission. You know, we all came in, I think, with uncertainty. We weren't, you know, we thought we knew what we were doing, but we had to work through the process. We challenged each other. There was some disagreements. There was, you know, but we agreed, and in the end, we came back with what we think is a good recommendation for you to consider. So I thank everyone who served with me as well.
I've got one more. I guess my last question, I don't know if it's in here anywhere. Was there an agreement amongst the whole committee to send this forward to the council?
Yes.
So it was, okay, all right.
I just want to reiterate my thanks to you for accepting the chair position and getting everybody together. It's not your first time doing this. I want to make a comment about the makeup of the committee. Originally, when the public notice, and you already stated this, when the public notice went out, 13 people applied. And the committee has to have 11. The council chose all 13 with 2 alternates. Did you end up using the alternates?
We did. We have 2 that were unable to serve, so we did have to pull our alternates in, which was great to have that as a backup.
I know there was some noise about the council picking and choosing the members, but that actually was not the case. We chose everybody. It's a good thing we did.
It was a good thing you did, yes.
So,
Yes. And you'll see at the end of the recommendation, everyone signed,
Yes.
saying that they were okay with forwarding the recommendation to you for consideration.
all right.
Okay?
Any further questions?
Is that it?
Thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next for your consideration is resolution number 226-2025. This is to approve an agreement with the Board of Education of Wicomico County to designate a retirement plan administrator pursuant to Article 9 of the Retirement Plan for Employees of Wicomico County and the Board of Education of Wicomico County, Maryland.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 226-2025. Second.
Second.
Discussion. Mr. Luffman.
Hi, Bunky Luffman, Director of Administration. I brought Corey.
Corey Houston, Acting HR Director.
Thank you for being here.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And not to put him on the spot, but I don't know if you want Mr. Reger to join us as well from the...
Mr. Rager, please.
So, I don't know what...
Dr. Rager.
I don't know.
Right?
Yeah, Doctor.
Dr. Rager.
Sorry.
Ryan's fine.
I put you down to my educational level. I apologize.
Brian Rager, CFOO for Wicomico County Public Schools.
Okay, thank you.
I have a silly question. I don't know if it is silly, but, so you have to come, I'm just making this clear, maybe I'm still learning, but, so you have to come to the county council for this. You can't do this in-house with your, with the Board of Education, with the board? Like, because you have 7 members on the council over there. So you have to come to us to get this approved. I'm just trying to understand
It's
the
a
whole
two-party
process.
agreement.
It's a two-party
So
agreement.
we
Okay.
follow our policy for MOUs
Yeah.
on our side, and then the county would follow their policies on their side.
Okay, I'm just trying to make sure I'm on the same page here.
And we have already begun interviewing candidates for Human Resources Director, and we have more set up later this week, right?
This week.
So,
Just for the public's knowledge and from the last meeting, this is temporary until January? Is that right?
yes.
And then what happens if we go past January? Is there a plan for that?
We would have to, ask Dr. Reger and seek an extension.
Extension?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
And hopefully, we don't have to do that. Yeah, like I said, we're already actively interviewing folks that we hope fulfill this role.
Yeah, that's pretty
Questions?
straightforward.
Discussion? All right,
Keep things turning.
keep it rolling. All right. All in favor of Resolution 226-2025, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Seeing none, resolution passes unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Doctor.
The next
Don't go far.
I will.
The next item of business is Resolution Number 227-2025. This is to authorize the county executive to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the Board of Education of Wicomico County for advance of county funds to the Board of Education for the Fruitland Primary School.
Kick me out.
All right, I'll entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 227-2025.
So move.
Second.
Discussion.
Hi, Pam Olin, Finance Director. So this is a document between us and the Board of Education. The county has entered into these agreements previously for the concept of potential forward funding. We came to council fiscal 2020, before fiscal 2026, thinking that we were going to need to do forward funding in fiscal 2026. Sorry. We did not need to do that in fiscal 2026. So this is the first step in us having to do potential forward funding in fiscal 2027. We need an agreement between us and the Board of Education such that we have in place a document that says what happens if the state doesn't fund their full share. The state is also looking for this document to make sure that we're keeping this project on track so that they will continue to support the project and move it forward as well. The numbers that are in the agreement are the total maximum that it could possibly be, and we don't expect that number for the county to come anywhere close to the $39 million number that I believe is in the agreement. Right now, we're anticipating for fiscal 2027 that we're going to need about $15.2 million of forward funding to keep them on task with the amount that is currently estimated from the state for 2027 funding to keep the project cash flow going. When you get the CIP next meeting, this will be in there. It'll be in there currently at the $15.2 million number. We don't intend to bond with a 20-year bond. It makes no fiscal sense for the county to bond these funds because that would cost us interest that the state's not going to repay us the interest. And we would be paying it over 20 years, and we're hopeful that we're going to get it paid back between 3 and 5 years. So again, it doesn't make sense to be paying interest on something for 20 years when we are still looking at the split. Does it come from fund balance? Does it come from like a line of credit that has shorter terms than a, full 20-year bond? Those are all still up in the air. We will present something to council, and then we will also have a second bite when we actually issue the budget in April, because by then we will have the number definitively set by the state as to what number we're going to get for 2027. So at this moment, the only thing that is necessary is for council to adopt this so that we show the state that we are committed, both sides, to getting Fruitland Primary continuing. And then when we do the budget, we will have to do the next step to appropriate the funds in whatever form we decide to do that in that part. But there won't be another document that we come forward with until the budget time in April, May.
Just a question, I guess, just going down this road doesn't affect our bond rating or anything like that?
No.
I know they're looking at it, standard process.
Nope. I believe when we were in New York, we even mentioned the concept of forward funding to them. It was not that we had this project and that it was going on and that we were doing it. It wasn't blatantly written in the document, but it wasn't something that we hid from the market. And so again, how we fund this is still up in the air and can change between the document we present in 2 weeks to when we adopt a budget, June-ish, timeframe. So again, this document literally just puts into play how we would get repaid and also signifies to the state that we're willing to do this to keep the project on task. And that's actually probably the biggest part of it, is that we're telling the state that both parties are committed to keeping Fruitland Primary moving forward.
Okay.
Yep.
I would just add for council and for the public's information that every school system in the state receives a cost share for new construction from the state, the Interagency Commission on School Construction. Wicomico County has one of the highest state cost shares, so we get a greater percentage of construction funds coming from the state and from the county, which benefits our county taxpayers. At the district level, we've improved that by having a really high maintenance effectiveness scores. Our school maintenance team does a really good job. That gets rated by the IAC and gets figured into that cost share. And we also took the step of securing a $2 million grant from the Maryland Energy Agency, which is going towards project costs as well. So really working hard to keep that cost share for the county down. In terms of the forward funding, when you put more money to the state, less to the county, I think that's good for the county. We're not having to bond for that, but that is maybe a little bit more that we would have to forward fund. But I think that $39 million is, that's in the intergovernmental agreement is still far higher than what we'll actually need to get, but it does give us that safety net. And does, again, show the state that we're collaborating to ensure that the school continues on task. We look forward to that opening in the fall of '27.
I think we all want to see the school stay on track.
Yeah.
You have some questions?
I do have one. So the cost share, if I've got this right, the total cost is $79.5 million?
Approximately.
It actually, after we went to bid, we actually realized some savings that came in a little bit lower than that. And this is in our CIP, which council members should have a copy of.
Yeah, council has it, and it will be reflected a little bit lower.
Yeah.
Okay.
About
So just
78.
78.7 roughly.
Got it.
Yeah.
And then the state, or IAC, is 52 some million, and that leaves the county with 25.3 or so. I mean, those were the numbers I'm reading off the piece of paper here.
Yeah.
So my question would be that the maximum amount, and I heard that that is a maximum amount of 39 million that could be potentially forward funded, exceeds the 25 million. How does that number, how does that get arrived at?
So that's, the way that works is that, again, ultimately, we are being the bank for the state.
Okay, that's what I was
Yes,
taking.
so we are being, the forward funding is that we are funding the state's share until they have funds in their budget
Yeah.
to repay.
Yeah.
And so the current estimates are about $14.6 million that the state has available each fiscal year for 27, 28, 29. But next year, the Board of Education needs about $30 million. Well, we as the county have already put $21 million into this project, and as such, we've pretty much expended what we need to expend.
Yeah.
So the rest of the funding is we are funding state share until we can get it back.
Yeah, well, and that simply put, that was my question, that it seems interesting and a little curious that it would be actually more than the overall commitment by the county.
So ultimately,
and in fact, we're loaning state of Maryland money.
at a zero interest rate.
At zero interest, yeah. I knew
At
that
zero
was going
interest
to be
rate.
my next line too, Pam.
Yes, sorry. I took that away from you. I apologize.
Yeah, but I that sounds very unique. I don't know if this has happened.
It happened in
past.
a lot of counties. They're churning out many more projects per year than we are. We did have a similar agreement, I think, for West Salisbury that I don't think we actually had to tap.
Yeah, the West Salisbury was the last one that we had to do this for. Again, we ended up not having to tap it, so the state ended up being able to fund their full share in the cash flow time that the Board of Education needed. We highly doubt that the state is going to be able to up their number from $14.6 million to 30. for 2027, and as such, we expect that there is going to have to be some county forward funding.
So it has been done this way before with past projects. So.
Well, we had the IGA, we didn't need to tap it on West Salisbury, but if you look around the state, there are a number of systems that use this arrangement
Yeah,
effectively.
the bigger counties are typically in a forward funding state most of the time.
Okay.
So like, I believe Montgomery County is in a forward-funded state right now, that they have forward-funded some of their schools and are waiting for repayment.
Pam, so from your research on that, how long do you think it would take before we receive our money back?
So we're estimating 3 to 5 years
Okay, on 0% interest.
on 0% interest. Yes.
Wow, okay.
So, yes. So again, that is why we're looking at ways to minimize the amount of interest that we as a county have to pay. And so, again,
No, it makes perfect sense. You don't have to explain it to me. I totally understand.
So we're
Luckily, I'm just going to say this, luckily, we have the money in this county to be able to do that. We're very
for this project,
We're
yes.
very blessed for this project.
For this project to be able to forward fund it, yes.
So I think there's been some interesting news articles about this recently that might or might not be totally accurate. This 15 million that you're talking about would be the immediate need. How is that dispersed? Is that as needed, or do we cut you a check for 15 million?
We
or-
hold on to it until the point in time that they put in a request.
So it's needed?
So that's how we actually do all of our construction projects. We, as the county, are the bank for these projects, but ultimately, the Board of Education pays their vendors, then they submit to us as the county and say, hey, we've paid all of these vendors, we need a reimbursement. So they're kind of like with our grants with the state, where they're reimbursement grants. Our projects with the Board of Education are reimbursement projects. So we as the county hold all the cash for all their projects until they actually utilize that cash. And that's how all of our projects work with them. Actually, I just signed off today on a reimbursement for them because they had submitted a request for different projects that they have ongoing that they had provided documentation. So again, it'll continue to be that way, and that's also why we're looking at potentially doing it kind of like a line of credit. Instead of having interest out on something that we haven't yet needed, if we do like a line of credit and you draw it down when we need it, then we're only being charged interest for the period of time that the dollar amount is outstanding. So again, that decision has not been made completely, and that decision also can be adjusted between now and budget adoption. But I will tell you, as your finance director, the two options I'm considering is a line of credit type concept or taking it out of fund balance, or a combination of the two. Because again, a 20-year bond does not make sense.
So for the flow of money, when the payback comes, it comes back to
Comes to us,
to
and
you, and then you pay
send
the
it back.
county.
Yeah, and that's what this agreement talks about is how, once they get it back in-house, how long they have to then turn it back around to us to repay us.
And
And I-
my last question is why Middle is next in line?
Middle is the next project in our CIP, the next major project in our CIP.
Is all this going to delay that?
It potentially could, because if we're looking at the county putting that money on a forward fund and waiting to get a full return on that fund before they give approval and funding for the next project, that would delay it. So we certainly understand that, the fact of life we're dealing with.
Right, just have to work with it.
Yep.
I have a question. Since you brought that up, why Middle? Are you keeping the front of the school because it's historic?
The current plan, we haven't really begun plans yet, but it wouldn't be a tear down of Y Middle. It'd be a replacement building, and that building would remain. It still has
I'm always concerned
value.
about historic.
It's a
'cause that
historical
school
building.
is old.
Yeah.
Don't tear everything old down, you know.
Jeff, I
Some
think
people don't
Joe
care
has a question. Yeah.
So there was some questions sent to you, Pam, and apparently you met with Laura and had a conversation about, and one of the questions was raised about signing an agreement, getting an agreement signed with the county about this money that would be refunded. And I think the answer, your answer was that it'd have to be with the Board of Ed. Will there be an agreement signed from the state to the Board of Ed that this money will be refunded?
If you'll recall, in January, we had a visit at our quarterly work session with the chair of the IAC. It was over Zoom. If you remember, the video was terrible, but the audio was, and he made quite clear that once they begin funding a project, that is then their priority to continue at the level they're able to, so that level has dropped to the point that we're looking at maybe 3 or 4 years till we get it back. But they are committed to seeing that project to fruition. If that means that they give fewer local planning approvals in that time period, that likely will happen. We've seen a reduction in the local planning approvals, which means a slowdown in new construction projects really across the state.
There won't be a signed agreement.
I don't believe they have a signed agreement.
Okay. Pam, you mentioned ways to fund it, line of credit and a fund balance. And of course, if you have a fund balance, that means you gotta have money in the fund to pay it, right?
Yes.
You know, there's one thing that, have we ever done a line of credit before, or a situation like this?
We've never had a situation like this. So again, it is.
Well, we were just talking a while ago, but you approached it for West Salisbury.
Again, I was not in this role when West Salisbury was, and I don't know how they were considering planning to fund that if they, but I also believe that number was a significantly smaller number. I want to say it was only a couple $1 million max. So again,
It was $6 million.
Okay. So again, it wasn't the same magnitude of a dollar amount that was being considered. And that is why I've never been in this role. I have had verbal conversations with both our bond counsel and our financial advisors as to if we have to bond this or if we have to borrow this, what is the best route? And they would be able to help advise us to how to make sure we are following all the laws.
I just wonder where we go for a line of credit.
We would be able to solicit bids versus going out the way we do for bonds, which is, it would be a similar concept, but it wouldn't require the full document that we create. We would literally send out solicitations to banks and say, hey, we're looking for a line of credit to be able to do and have these kind of terms on it, that we will only draw down on it when we need it, we will refund it when we can, and it can't have, that it has to be outstanding for 5 years or outstanding for 10 years or anything like that, because our bonds currently have requirements for how long they have to stay outstanding. And so, again, we don't want to go down that path for something that we hope to be paid back within 3 to 5 years.
What a beautiful line of credit to get to, I can pay it back when we can. That would be unusual. But anyway.
I mean, we will provide them cash flow, but it would, again, be a solicitation would be how we would approach this. We would not direct this to one bank. We would literally send out kind of an RFP to banks and say, okay, this is the estimated dollar amount that we think, this is when we think we're going to need draws, and this is when we think we will get repayment. What kind of terms can you provide us?
Speaking of the fund balance, the thing that bothers me about this is, we can override the revenue cap for education.
Correct.
And that's what bothers me most about this, is this would be a tool of what we're doing today to try to override the revenue cap. And I know that's not in your wheelhouse, because that's a political question.
Ultimately,
a political
I'm
statement,
sorry.
But that's the part that bothers me about this.
Ultimately, a majority of the people sitting on this council made the decision that we were moving forward with Fruitland Primary. The state financial circumstances changed. They're already on construction on Fruitland Primary. As such, pausing it now would not it would be worse than us pausing it when we had talked about not starting it a couple years ago. We're now at a point that trying to pause this project is not something, I mean, you've got a half-built building now, or not even half.
But they're still coming out of the ground.
So you have a building coming out of the ground that we don't want to stop building for lots of reasons. And one of them being is that now we have reached the point where it doesn't make sense to not finish the building. If we hadn't started the project when we did, we could have paused. I don't believe that this is now the time to pause, but the only way to accomplish the non-pause is to enter into this agreement.
So I'm just going to say, and it's not helpful, I think I was the only one that said we should pause 2 years ago because I just had a feeling this would happen. Anyway, I agree at this point, we have to keep moving forward. And we're at a point now where steel's out of the ground, plans change, we have to keep moving, so.
It's only going to get more expensive.
I was going to say, we realized of almost $1 million in savings when we went out to bid. If we pause this for a couple of years, I think we all know what would happen to that cost.
So the county executive made a statement on TV, something about there would be no further capital projects until this is paid off. And I think you made a statement, something to the contrary of that?
I don't believe I did.
Maybe I misunderstood you.
If I did, I misspoke.
Yeah.
It is the county's purview as to what they fund from our capital improvement plan. That's always been the case. That doesn't change with this. There is a line you'll see at the bottom of the IGA that makes that very apparent. Even though it's always the case, it's redundant in the IGA, but it certainly puts it out there for everyone, council, Board of Ed, the public to see that is the case. That we understand the ability for the county to fund large-scale construction projects isn't infinite, and when they're waiting on funding coming back from the state, we certainly understand the impact that would have.
So point 4 was not in the previous, version related to West Salisbury. This point 4 is very specifically started with this agreement. And again, per the board, yes, we as the county always have the opportunity to not fund Board of Education projects. But we wanted it to be very clear in this agreement that we do have that authority and that there could be the fact that other major projects might have to be put on pause until we are repaid. So we wanted it spelled out in this document. Yes, the Board of Education had stated that, yes, it is a fact of life that we could do that at any time. The administration requested that line be put in there.
Thank you all.
I think you need to vote on it, though.
We are getting ready to vote. I'll entertain a motion to accept
Thank you.
Resolution 227-2025.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay. Motion passes 6-1.
5 to 1.
Excuse me, 5-1. Yep, 5-1.
Thank you.
Okay, next is resolution number 228-2025. This is amending the fiscal year 26 budget to make a supplemental appropriation from contingency for the hazard mitigation plan update in the amount of $24,850. And we do have Mr. Lorenzo Cropper here, our Director of Emergency Services, if you have any questions.
I'll entertain a motion for the council to approve Resolution 228-2025.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Oh, no, discussion.
So Pam Olin, Finance Director again.
Lorenzo Cropper, Emergency Services Director.
So when our budget was struck, at that time, the federal government was paying for these hazard mitigation plans under grants, and that has ended. And We have a requirement to complete a hazard mitigation plan by February 2027.
March 2020.
March 2027, I was 1 month off. March 2027. This is not a project that could be accomplished if we waited till July 1st for the budget. It is a project that takes longer than 6 months. It is about a year-long project, and as such, because we will not be receiving grant funding for this, we are asking for our contingency balance to utilize this. At this point in time, there is sufficient funds in the contingency that was budgeted for fiscal 2026 to be able to cover this $24,850.
Questions?
Who does the
Discussion?
plan? Is it a third party?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have a quote. That's how this dollar amount was received. So we have, this is an actual dollar amount for a project.
Else? All right. I'll entertain a motion from the council to approve resolution.
I think we've already got it. We can just go ahead and vote. Yeah.
You need to all in favor, say.
Oh, all in favor, I'm sorry.
Aye.
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 And any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next for your consideration is resolution number 229-2025, amending the fiscal year 26 budget to make a supplemental appropriation from contingency for payment of the county pension attorney Smith and Downey invoice in the amount of $11,592.
Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 229-2025.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
So this is for the Smith and Downey work that was done in relationship to questions that council had. This was not anticipated in the budget. There is not sufficient funds in the HR budget to cover this bill, as it was not anticipated when we were creating the budget. There are sufficient funds in the contingency to pay the bill, but we are requesting a transfer from contingency to HR to make the payment.
Okay. Entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 229-2025.
It's all in favor.
All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Unanimously.
Okay, next is a submission of appointments to the Recreation and Parks Commission by Mr. Stephen Lakin, Assistant Director of Administration.
Lakin, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Vice President, council members. Steve Lakin, Assistant Director of Administration.
Mrs. Hurley, are we going to do these in succession? Or
We will do them by the commissions.
Okay.
Did you want to give a summary of the commission, or you want me to go straight to the resolution?
Sure, I can give a summary. So the first two are for the Recreation and Parks Commission. Commission serves in an advisory capacity to the Director of the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Tourism on topics including comprehensive park planning, policies, budgets, and programs, with a focus on serving all residents. So the first nominee, the County Executive recommends the appointment of John T. Cannon to the Recreation and Parks Commission, and I'm formally submitting his credentials for your consideration. The County Executive also recommends the appointment of Sean Tucker to the Recreation Committee, and likewise, I'm submitting his credentials for your consideration.
Before you use resolution number 230-2025, this is confirming the appointment of John T. Cannon as a member of the Recreation and Parks Commission.
Sorry, go ahead.
entertain a motion from council to approve resolution 230-2025.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries 6-0 unanimously.
Okay, next is resolution number 231-2025, confirming the appointment of Sean Tucker as a member of the Recreation and Parks Commission.
I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 231-2025.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries unanimously.
Okay, next is a submission of appointment to the Library Board of Trustees.
The Library Board of Trustees supports education, enriches lives, and builds community through library services. And the county executive recommends the appointment of James Wynn to the Library Board of Trustees, and I'm formally submitting his credentials for your consideration.
Before you is resolution number 232-2025, confirming the appointment of James Wynn to the Board of Library Trustees.
I'll entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 232-2025.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, James.
There we go.
Motion carries unanimously.
Next is a submission of appointment to the Civic Center and Tourism Commission.
The Civic Center and Tourism Commission serves in an advisory capacity to the Director of the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Tourism on topics related to tourism and the Civic Center. The county executive recommends the appointment of John T. Cannon to the Civic Center and Tourism Commission, and I'm formally submitting his credentials for your consideration.
Resolution 233-2025 is confirming the appointment of John T. Cannon as a member of the Civic Center and Tourism Commission.
I'll entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 233-2025.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next for your consideration is resolution number 234-2025. This is authorizing Carter Machinery, Inc. as a sole source vendor to provide parts for OEM Caterpillar, and Cat-trained employees must repair and conduct preventative maintenance on Caterpillar equipment to be utilized by the Wicomico County Solid Waste Department extension through fiscal year 2027. Now, this resolution does require a supermajority vote.
I'll entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 234-2025.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Corey and Ms. Kernodle. Welcome back.
Well, good evening again, Adam Corey. Oh,
Yep, left to right.
go ahead.
Amy Kernodle, purchasing agent.
Adam Corey, Deputy Director of Public Works.
Ball Rainey, Superintendent, Solid Waste Disposal.
Thank you.
What'd you say your first name was?
Vaughn Rain.
Oh, okay.
Okay, floor is yours.
So this is just a continuation of a CVA that we currently already have with Caterpillar. Obviously, we buy Caterpillar because of the service. And got to say that our Carter service facility in Felton, Delaware, they are on our property probably once a day, if not twice a day.
Absolutely.
Preventative maintenance or having to rehab something that has had a code throw or anything like that. But effectively, when you buy Carter's equipment, when you buy Caterpillar's equipment, you are buying the service package with it. And because you're buying Caterpillar, you're only allowed to utilize them to perform those services. There's a few little things we can do in-house with our shop, but the majority of your O&M, preventative maintenance, has to be done by Caterpillar. The CBA is the agreement that we already had as a sole source justification in previous years. Effectively, tonight, this resolution is just to continue that on into the next year. And then we'll have another one to come in front of you next year.
Sounds good.
Do any warranties factor into all this? Like
Sure,
if we
sure.
didn't take advantage of this service, would it potentially affect the warranty on the equipment?
Oh, yeah, no, if you didn't have your CVA in place, you're not going to have your warranty extension on your piece of equipment, for example. And you would have to pay your higher rates. If, like I say, the newest piece of equipment we'll have come, and I want to give an invitation to everybody when it gets here. One we've been talking about since last year is a new four-wheel compactor, 836. Should be here, I hope, before Christmas. Seriously, that's what we've been told anyway. It'll start being delivered piece by piece. But for example, if you didn't have that under warranty, which I don't know why you'd put a $1.8 million machine without a warranty. But if you called for service on it without having a CVA, you're going to wait in line and you're going to pay out of the nose. So it's good to have this.
When you mentioned that piece of equipment, I saw the smile on his face.
Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. The old one is, she's, we're giving her exercise every couple of days and then letting her take 2 or 3 days break and using the Tana instead.
Duct tape and
Yeah. But,
clips and, yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Any questions, discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor of Resolution 234-25, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Resolution Number 235-2025. This is to approve the establishment of a councilmanic district map and boundaries for 7 councilmanic districts. And before you, Mr. Paul Wilbur, our county attorney, and we have Mr. Frank McKenzie, our GIS coordinator here.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion from council to approve Resolution 235-2025.
So move.
Second. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hello, good night, or good evening.
We feel the same way.
Yeah, right, it all ends up the same place. So, as you may recall, the court order set up 7 councilmanic districts in Wicomico County for the next election. And when the Board of Elections started looking at the boundaries and where the voters were located and trying to match up precincts to councilmanic districts to legislative districts, there were some small discrepancies to make the whole matter fit together in one coherent piece. And I think you have before you the tables. The one I'm looking at is, it was the memo from the executive to Dion Church. And I'm just going to summarize it because it's all the information's right there. In Councilmanic District 3, 27 voters were moved to Councilmanic District 4. In Councilmanic District 1, 20 voters were moved to Councilmanic District 5. In Councilmanic District 1, 19 voters were moved to Councilmanic District 2. In Councilmanic District 3, 3 voters were moved to Councilmanic District 2. And in Councilmanic District 4, 4 voters were moved to Councilmanic District 6. And right behind that memo is the map that shows in the darker designated areas where those particular movements occurred. And what this will do, it will allow, once the hopefully the resolution is passed tonight, it will be sent to all the attorneys, and then a motion to amend the court order will be filed with the court to change these boundaries to fit what is on the map. And then the Board of Elections will have a map that works for them as far as precincts, and it works for the county too, and the legislative districts. So you might say this is a technical adjustment to line everything up and make it work.
73 voters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
What's the deadline? Like before it's
Well,
late?
I would say later in February is the deadline for filing candidates.
So we're good on that.
And assuming that this is passed and signed, then I'm going to get it out to all the appropriate parties like this week. And then I think a motion will be filed probably next week with the federal court. And hopefully will be moved through, hopefully in December. We'll see.
Mr. McKenzie, thank you. I know you have been working on this for a long
Yes.
time.
He's the heart and soul of this operation.
Hours and hours.
It's been a few.
The first go-around and now this one.
This will be the 3rd adjustment we've had to our districts.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you for your efforts and your hard work. Okay, if there's no further discussion.
I have a
Oh,
question. The recommendation from the Board of Elections. What page is it? It's the second. wait a minute. It's the second map, so if they don't approve, other people look at it and don't approve that, how would that change? Will that change? Because you have other maps here also.
Yeah, so we're all talking about the same thing. There's the big map of the county
Yeah.
that shows the changes.
Yeah, I
And
see
then-
that, and I see this right here, because it's color coded.
Right. Yeah, mine's in black and white.
Yeah.
But then behind it are enlargements of each area where the movements were made.
Okay, all right. Because now in that red, okay, it's moved to District 2, I got you.
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. No other discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yep.
Mr. Vice President, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Hurley. As soon as I find out where I'm supposed to be next. Okay. At this time, we open the floor for public comments. If you have any comments you'd like to make, come to the podium, state your name, your county of residence, and your concerns.
Good evening. Nathaniel Morton, Wicomico County, Union Church Road. I'm here regarding the application of Wicomico Rain Solar LLC for a CPCN, a Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity, to construct a 5-megawatt solar facility at 4013 Union Church Road, known to the Maryland Public Service, MPS, Commission as case number 9795, and submitted on June 23rd, 2025. I'm opposed to this absurd proposal and will express my concerns during the PSC's first virtual public hearing tomorrow at 6 p.m. For anyone interested, you can sign up today, although there's no timeline for the time to be provided. Very briefly, 2 background points. Maryland Senate Bill 931, effective October 1st of this year, removed and usurped county zoning authority for these solar facilities of 2 megawatts or larger. This is the first Wicomico County CPCN processed under this new law, with a second one, case number 9806 at Pemberton and Levin to Shield, followed closely by a third case that has just been resurrected, 9694, adjacent to Shadow Hills. Its virtual hearing is to be determined. My case, case 9795, proposes a 37-acre facility that would place 10,976 solar panels just 196 feet from our home, destroying half of the forested land to save half of the farmland, and then destroying half of the farmland to save the remaining forest, all within a medium and high density residential area within the agricultural 1 zone. With that context, I have 4 requests from the council this evening to consider. First and most importantly, we need true transparency in the public notice process for CPCNs. It's coming from the state and it's not being done well. Citizens should not be blindsided by projects known to county leadership and staff from months earlier, and a standing CPCN watch or similar mechanism is needed for public review. Second, I implore the council president and executive to hold the in-person PSC meeting during the week of March 26, 2026, with the public utility law judge and who invited us to host. Thirdly, I would like for some amendments to the county code so it aligns to the Senate Bill 931, specifically the definitions of small, medium, and large permitted uses and the correct setback of 100 foot. Current inconsistencies are allowing the applicant to create a false equivalence by treating a permitted by CPN as if it were permitted by the county. And
Sir,
lastly, we need,
Sir, can you wrap up?
lastly, we
please?
need accurate addressing from the start. The shifting and inconsistent addressing caused great confusion. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Robert Taylor Salisbury. I was a member of the Compensation Review Commission. Just a couple quick comments on that. Why do we do this every 4 years? Well, it's because of the Maryland Constitution. Maryland Constitution requires the salary and allowances of elected officials to be set essentially in 4-year increments. It's not like county employees where you can set that anytime you want to, typically annually. And that's why it's done this way. We have a commission because it's in our charter to have a review commission every 4 years. The comment was made by Mr. Hastings about, well, we should just do this not for the next term that begins in '26, but for the term after that. That was brought up before by him, I believe, when I was the attorney for the council. And I think the thinking was it would just be impractical. And a good example is, let's say 4 years ago, we had done it for 2026, the next year. 4 years ago, things looked great. There was hardly any inflation. It was completely different. Now look what's happened. We have a state that is essentially almost bankrupt, a $1.4 billion deficit projected for next year. Things are completely different than they were 4 years ago. So that's why I don't think that should be changed. It would be unreasonable and unworkable to do that. Mr. Holloway mentioned, did we consider the general fiscal condition? We tried to. It's hard to get information. Actually, a week after we made our final recommendations, the state legislative services made their semi-annual report to the General Assembly on the state's fiscal. That's when we got this $1.4 billion deficit for next year. We didn't have that when we made our recommendations. And that's how quickly things can change. That's one reason why we went to the incremental, doing yearly steps rather than just a 4-year increase in a block. It may be a good idea, it may not be. We're not the first county or municipality in the state to do it. A number of others do it, and I think it's becoming more popular with time. The remainder of my time, about a half a minute, you just made essentially a $39 million loan commitment to the Board of Education. That's really what it was. You can call it an agreement for funding, this, that, and the other, but you've agreed to loan money. And it's going to be hell to pay for when we get to it, because we got the state that's going to be cutting us back on the funding we get from the state. And guess what? We're going to have to make that up. So we're going to have to be very, very careful. I'm not criticizing the wisdom of making the loan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doing that. I'm just simply saying we've got to be damn careful about what we do fiscally going forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe Schiaffino, Salisbury. Real quick, the Upper Ferry, I know it's in overhaul. It's been in overhaul probably May or June. I know a lot of bicyclists like myself rely on that to access all points north and out. And it's become a popular thread on the Nextdoor app. So I told people I would bring it up at council tonight because there's really has been no public update on the issue. So if after the meeting somebody can let me know what's going on, or I can give some of my contact information and they can get back to me later in the week with the answers. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jim Atkins, Wicomico County, or as better known by the executive, one of the 6 people that say the same thing over and over every 2 weeks. So here we are. First thing I want to talk about is the liquor board and the available liquor license for the county, since one was surrendered. The council was not even aware that a liquor license had been surrendered. And last week, in talking to the liquor board, I found out that that liquor license has already been approved and given to a restaurant here in Salisbury. I questioned whether or not there was a public notice, and there was a public notice regarding that business getting a liquor license, but there was never any public notice to the residents of the county that there was a liquor license available for anybody who was interested in having it. So once again, I go back to the good old boys club, and the reason why we need to look at putting these licenses out on sealed bids so everybody has an option to get it. I want to thank and agree with most of what was said tonight on the compensation committee. Everybody worked very hard with that, a lot of different opinions, but everybody came together and reached a consensus. However, on October the 14th, the county executive appeared on a podcast where she discussed the compensation board and made the following disparaging comments regarding the commission. How many on the commission are known critics? Quite a few. All committee appointments must come through her office. This was a violation of both the law and the charter. Did not believe that only 13 people had applied for the position. People who were appointed were critical of her. Council appointed 11 people to give themselves raises. It was a flawed commission. After getting negative feedback about her statements, she stated she was going to issue an apology. Well, she didn't issue an apology. She got on the same podcast and did a disclaimer, thanking the volunteers and stating for the most she was concerned about the process and how the members was picked. No apology was ever given. The commission is mandated by the county charter as well as state law. If you'd like to get the full story on the commission and our executive's comments, I'm going to do a little advertisement here for Open Agenda on YouTube. Tomorrow afternoon, evening, there will be a program posted where we address the compensation committee, the actual statements that were made by the executive, and what actually happens. So if you want to know the truth, tune in.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe White, Wicomico County. I want to bring back up a subject that came up a couple times this past spring during the budget process. It started during the CIP process 2 years ago in November of 2024. And it's referred to as the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room, thankfully, doesn't actually refer to an animal, but it does refer to something that does help this county out quite a bit, and that's the revenue tax cap. I think for a lot of folks, when you look at tax revenue, you see opportunity fund projects, but really what you're doing is you're taking money out of people's wallets that they would use to spend in their local economy, which actually flows right back into the same treasury that we use to spend our money. You had tonight an opportunity or an instant where you have to forward fund Fruitland Primary School. And I think Councilman Holloway touched on this when he was asking his questions. And I want to say that there are several citizens who are concerned that we are spending down our surplus in an effort to force the revenue cap to be busted for educational purposes. We finished last year with about $75 million left in surplus money. But $39 million can go out really quick. And I went to Y Middle. I went to Y Middle in the early 90s. It was an old school in the early 90s, and it's had some renovations. It's not exactly the same as it was when I left it. But to think that we may have to put that school on hold for 6 or 8 more years because of the way Fruitland Primary is being funded without a better plan overall, and that's my point. The next meeting, you're going to go through the CIP, and I think it needs to be gone through with a fine-tooth comb. Okay, it's the beginning of a conversation. It's going to take 6 months. But I think rather than talk about something and then letting it go, we need to stay on top of it. Because here's the other issues that are going to come about, or that have come about. The fully funding of the library on Shoemaker Pond. The landfill. Where are we at? Not just with Cell 7, but with moving across the road. The Verizon building. The Verizon building we spent $3.65 million on. And at the last CIP session, it was proposed at $2.75 million renovation. And it sits vacant right now, and it's costing the taxpayers money. And the SWOT analysis, which you're going to hear about later on, which is actually very important. That could cost anywhere from $750,000 a year to many millions. So, we need to get to a point that we have a better plan. Councilman Hastings, you talk about that a lot, and I do think that you're genuine when you say that. You have a lot of really smart people back here. We need to get the plan set in place for the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Joe Venosa, District 7, Wicomico County. I want to just echo real quickly what my friends have said regarding the issue with Fruitland Primary. Look, there's no doubt it has to be built. It's already in progress. But there's a pattern here. The pattern is you all get pressured by the executive's office to fund other things, which takes away the revenues that we have in the fund balance. And now we are spending down to the point where we're not going to have much of a surplus. And God forbid the state cuts our disparity grant, which it very well might do because of the economic conditions. Then where will we be? The school has to be built, but we've put ourselves in a position where we're defunding ourselves. We voted, well, not we, but the council, unfortunately, in my view, voted to get rid of the alcohol dispensary monopoly. That's $500,000 a year. Could go to that school, could go to our kids. Gone. The Verizon building, the list goes on. So I think we shouldn't put ourselves in the position to be exploited by the executive's office on the big projects after we've allowed it on the small ones. Okay? That's just, I don't think, a good way to do business and help our county. On a more pleasant topic, I just want to, again, give my thanks to Chairwoman Wright and to the other members of the Allowance Compensation Commission. It was a great experience, and also, again, it doesn't get enough credit. People in the county don't know this, but how much Ms. Laura Hurley and Ms. Ingold do. It's incredible, and not to embarrass them any further, but they really do a tremendous job. And even if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, no one's perfect. But it was a great experience. We got a great diversity of people. It was a wonderful opportunity to get people in the community that we don't often see. Just for personal clarification, Mr. Holloway, I was one of the people that voted against the raise for the county executive and for the council members. As somebody who lives in District 7, which is one of the most high poverty-prone areas of our county, I can't in good conscience support anybody who runs for office at a time when other people in my community are facing higher poverty and higher costs. It's just not good policy, let alone the principle. Likewise, the executive office, in my view, shouldn't exist. I was the chairman of the failed Question A campaign, but 48% of this county, right, voted in favor of that. So almost half the county believes the position doesn't exist. I don't believe in giving somebody an $8,000 raise in a position I don't think should exist. And to Mr. Atkins' point on that, the fact that the executive several times in public lied about the charter and about the legitimacy of that commission is absolutely disgusting, Ms. Giordano. It is absolutely despicable that you would lie repeatedly to do that. As many have said, we struggle to get people in the community to volunteer on these boards and commissions. Volunteerism is down. People have a lot of work. People are working 2 or 3 jobs in our community. And to have somebody who makes well more than the average person in this community now expect a raise from the commission that she questioned its legitimacy, disgusting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Real quick, the commission did such a good job. My mom was impressed. She made Italian cookies for everybody. Everybody but the executive gets one.
I'll follow that up. Jesse Ryder, Wicomico County. I'm just here with my neighbor from Union Church Road to just talk about the disgust of the solar farm going in. I heard an awe when he said 198 feet from his property. Mine's 100, and that's not from the edge of their establishment. That's from his solar cell. That's disgusting. 100 feet. Most precedences are 150, 300, 600 feet, and that's from their property, not from a cell. That's insane. With that, if you factor in domicile, I'm about 110 feet from a cell, my domicile, where my kid sleeps, where this construction's gonna be. That's insane. It makes no sense to put something that close to a habitable home. And I don't know how, even what was passed in October, it doesn't, you stopping this, or you at least reviewing how far these things should be from a home that's being lived in, is not a determinant to these projects. It's just factoring in people, right? It's for the community. These things are for the community. Something like that, 100 feet from your home, from your kids, 110 feet from your kid's bedroom, get out of here. No one would think that makes sense. The only people that think that makes sense is someone that said, if we fit it into this small box, we will make the most money. We will also help the most people. I understand that. But if we shift slightly and costs are more because we had to shift slightly to factor in your community, that's what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Monica Brooks. I'm a Wicomico County resident, also president of Wicomico County NAACP. And to the people protesting against the solar, that brings me back to those of us who fought against multiple poultry farms being placed right next door with all the particulate matter and all of that, and how the state MDE, as well as our local county, thought it was a good idea, and to put it on top of our paleo channel. So I'm saying to you all, I'm gonna look into this because I was not aware of what was going on here. And again, it reminds me of the lack of transparency that happens in a lot of things. And when coming to, and I'm spending a lot of time talking about this, but I'm just blown away about how often this state is not connected to what people locally here want and what we would approve of and what we think is okay. And because there's a disconnect. I mean, somehow once you go across that bridge, it's a whole different animal. So maybe that's something that can be altered in the way that it is being done. I don't know for that, but I can show you how to fight, but we'll talk later. I did want to discuss briefly about Fruitland Primary. Yes, we must go forward with this project because we're already here. But I also want to keep the council to keep in mind, and I agree with one of the comments being made about how we're using funds in certain spaces, but we're not allowing and keeping space for what may be very necessary, and particularly for our youth. The last thing I want to bring up that I discussed briefly before is accountability for our landlords. We have some horrible landlords in Wicomico County that are going completely without accountability. Now, what we did get to see is a landlord who actually has property in Wicomico and Somerset who just got the lawsuit that Maryland Attorney General that won the lawsuit against him for $2.4 million, who was extorting women sexually. But there are people here who are literally mistreating individuals in their home, and if they complain, they're retaliated against. And if they're getting any kind of public assistance, they make up violations for them so that they can start charging them market rate. So if I'm paying $1,000 and I complain about having my cabinet sitting on my counter for 2 months because it's not being repaired, then I get violations. If I get 3 violations, they can charge me market rent. So now my rate goes up to $3,000 a month. So there's a lot going on in relation to our landlords. I think we have a lot of landlords that are elected officials here, and maybe that's why we're not paying more attention to it, but it needs to be prioritized because the citizens deserve better.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Yes, sir.
My name is Kevin Gregg. I'm here with my family tonight. I've lived on Union Church Road for 22 years. We just came here tonight that we are opposed to the installation of 37 acres of solar panels on Union Church Road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment. That concludes our public comments. Council comments.
Yeah, I can. So, first off, I want to say I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Go off on a cheerful note. Then I want to touch about the solar. Everyone up here is very upset, I think, about how the solar was taken away from the planning and zoning. I think was taken away. Well, I don't think. I know it was taken away from the county. We have no jurisdiction anymore. The state said, "You're not going to do it. We're just going to force it." And what makes me really upset is that they can't pay for our schools, but they're going to give the owners of that property $3,000 to $7,000 an acre, whatever crazy number they want to throw at them, to develop it in a solar. And then they take the farmland away from the farmers, and now we don't have the farmland for the farmers to farm, and then it's a three-legged stool. I mean, we all support each other in this community, and they're going to develop 5% of our prime farmland in this county. And also, what makes me so upset is it's all subsidized money. None of it is their money. It's our money. It's tax money, and we're paying for it. All of us in this room are paying to develop 5% of our prime farmland out of solar. And there's nothing I can do about it. There's nothing I can do about it besides call my delegation, which they can't do anything about it because there's a super majority of people across the bridge that do not care about what we think down here. They don't want it in their backyard. They don't want to develop over top of their Lowe's parking lot, but they want to develop it right over top of our farmland and put us out of business. And if that happens, we're going to be in trouble economically in this county because we need our farmers. And they're hurting us all. So anyway, I was pretty passionate about that. I'm sorry, but Dave.
Well, Mr. Nguyen, you just took everything I was about ready to say. But I want to reiterate the same thing to the Union Church Road folks. And this bill was passed in July, Senate Bill 931, and it was just a bad bill. I think our local delegation was in opposition to it, and that's who I would suggest that I will personally reach out and let them know that the effects of it are now starting right here. And I think, as you mentioned, Mr. Morton, there's several projects, not yours. So what did happen was the state, that legislation stripped local authority. I sat on the Planning and Zoning Appeals Board. And our board, I think, did a good job. We called balls and strikes, and we did some denials, but we listened to sworn testimony of the residents, and acted accordingly. And we approved some, perhaps changing the buffers or whatever the case. So it was personally, a problem for me and my fellow board members to see that taken away from the local authority. And as mentioned, and just to emphasize, Mr. Morton mentioned what short notice and what a poor job the state's doing on getting public information and getting public sentiment on this. It's a travesty. So I would only suggest to everyone, ourselves included, to contact our delegation. As Mr. Nguyen just mentioned, it's a tough fight. Because they're the minority for sure, but to at least make our voice known, and maybe they can make a difference and make this change. It may not affect your project, unfortunately, but I at least am very much in support of what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to say that I too hope you all had a safe holiday. I was home looking at Lone Ranger. I'm a Western fanatic. Speaking to what Monica was stating on the solar panels, I'm against it all because it's ugly, for one thing. And the reason why I know it's ugly, on Conley Mill Road, they got some on Conley Mill Road across from the supposed to be parked, you know. They don't cut the grass, the trees are awful, it's not maintained. They're just, I don't know, they're not making it beautiful. It's just an eyesore to the neighbors that they have, and they're on Foskey Lane, the corner of Conley Mill Road and Foskey Lane, because when I turn down to go to Delmar, I see that ugliness. So if they keep building more and more and more, your neighborhood is going to be ugly. And I don't know why people who don't live, but not from here, don't care about how they come into our community. It's always something ugly or nasty or something. I was born on the west side of Salisbury at my grandparents' house. And we have a chicken plant there in a neighborhood. And that's disgusting. But they give jobs. So they always say be political correct. But you don't know what health hazards they have or any of that thing. So why do you have all of a sudden, they're coming over to Deer Harbor area, which is a nice area, because my uncle-in-law just lived there for years till he passed away. That's ugliness. That's ugliness. Now, I would support you fighting against the solar stuff, but as James said, we don't have anything to really do with it. But I would personally come when you get yourself organized. And personally, I would call the governor's office. You know, I learned that from my girlfriend. She called the White House. Oh, no, she called the governor. I called the White House for some information. But you go higher up. You go to your delegates, but I also would go to my governor. We pay his salary. And the second thing I want to inform Monica, when I moved back home, I was the president of the Wicomico Tenant Association. And I worked with Shore Up, and we did a tenants' rights and landlord rights piece. Then I became a member of Salisbury Neighborhood Action Committee, and that committee had a list of properties that were substandard. We would turn them over to the landlords would turn them over to the landlord. Out of that committee came Salisbury Neighborhood Housing, who are talking about increasing home ownership. There was one place on Martin Street, was one of the worst streets in the city of Salisbury on the east side. If you look at Martin Street now, you see what Habitat has done. And I was thinking the other day, I said, we talk about affordability. Why don't we talk about affordable rents? Why don't we talk about rent to own, to increase home ownership? And you have to probably help the person, nurture that person, organization, nurture that person with knowing how to build their credit up, because that's one of the main things. Now, Habitat houses are over $200,000 right now, as the lady explained when she did her presentation. But tenants are afraid, but they did pass a bill 2 or 3 years ago. If a tenant is intimidated, that's breaking the law. And that was a law passed, and I can't get the number. I don't know if it's 261 or 291 or 2 something. But I'm just saying there is a law to protect tenants from retaliation. So I think also Wicomico County had 1 code enforcement officer. Now they do have 2 for the whole county. The city of Salisbury has 6 code enforcement officers. So just think about how you can, who you complain to if you're going to overwork 2 people for a large place. The only way they can do anything is complaints. You have to complain about the house. I've done it several times in a particular area, and it's getting cleaned up. You have to complain to the code enforcement officer. If they don't complain, the code enforcement officer that the county has will never know there's a problem in the home. So I just want to, and then where are those people going to go? That's another question. Where are the people going to live if they get put out or evicted? Where are they going to live? They can't afford $1,300 or $2,000 rent because the jobs don't pay that. And they do have to pay, someone said they had to work 2, 3 jobs. That's true. Subsidies have been cut. Senior citizens are paying market rate for their rent. So there's a lot of issues in this county. And don't forget the homeless. That has to be addressed. That's a serious problem for this county and neighboring municipalities. So there's a lot of things that have to be addressed, but there's a cost to everything that we do address. And I think the next budget, we need to go line by line in a way to look at the department's money and spending. And I agree wholeheartedly, but I do support Fruitland Primary. I do support that, because that's been there forever. So I just those comments, and I write everybody's comments down and review them, but I agree with most of what you say. The solar panels and tenant and landlord relationship. I'm not a landlord. I'm an elected official, but I'm not a landlord. But I have worked with them for years about the same things you're talking about. That's all.
Thank you, Shane. Josh?
Well, just to say, of course, thank you all for attending tonight, and thanks to the folks who are tuning in. Also heard a couple of people say thank you to Laura Hurley and Lynn Ingold for all of the work they do. We can't say that enough as council. You all do really amazing work, and we do appreciate it. And then to the folks, as far as the Union Church solar situation, I think, as you all know clearly, is not something that the county can do anything about. This has been out of the hands of the counties. Anything that's over 2 megawatts, counties haven't been able to do anything about it forever. For as long as there's been a process to look at this, it goes through the CPSCN process. So the state is in control. I don't want to reiterate or say anything that these folks have already said, but I do want to tell you that there actually already is a group of folks that are working at updating the bill that was mentioned, or now I should say the law, which then allows up to 5% of your priority preservation areas in a county to be covered with solar. While this project is only 37 acres or whatever it is, and it's not the 1,000 acres projects that it's outside of Centerville, or the 800 acres in Centerville, or I mean in Caroline County. I mean, you go across the shore, these got these very large projects, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter if it's 5 acres or 500 acres. If it's something that's right next to you and you have to look at it and you don't have the right screening or those kinds of vegetative protections, it's going to be it's not something we want. So the good news, I just want to let you all know, there is a large group. For my day job, I'm actually one of the folks working on it. We actually are trying to address it and make sure that we are protecting our farmland, especially our prime and productive lands, but also that we're not continuing to cut down forest, put up solar, which is something that has been happening, and then also that we're being thoughtful and that making sure that solar, that it goes in the right spaces and that we're helping prioritize that. So there is a group working at it. We are going to make sure that there's further setbacks and things like that are addressed. And I just say that from wearing my day job hat, but it needs to be done. I'm sorry you all are going through this particular situation, but I think the state's going to get it right. And if not, we're going to make sure that they do. So, yeah, thank you all.
I don't have it.
Josh?
Yeah.
You good? I just want to say, again, thank you to Laura and Lynn for the work that they do for us. I want to thank them for bringing me up to speed in the 1 hour's notice that I had to sit in this chair tonight. And I wish President Cannon a speedy recovery. When we were asked to come to the Compensation Commission and talk about how much time do you spend on council duties, are you happy with the salary and things like that, President Cannon pulled out a 2-page list of things that he goes through on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, far more than the 2 meetings a month that has been previously suggested. Hope everybody had a nice Thanksgiving. We're entering deeper into the holiday season, so hope everybody is safe. Be kind. Remember the reason for the season. I believe that's all I have. I will end. Let's see. We're going to.
Take a 5-minute break.
Would you like a 5-minute break? Okay. Well, we're going to adjourn anyway, so how's that? Mrs. Hurley, can we adjourn for a 5-minute break?
Yes.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
For a 5-minute break. Second?
Second.
All right. There we go.
Can, the markers for sunshine and
When we come.
Okay. I need a motion to reconvene in legislative session before we adjourn to go into open work session. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We're going to adjourn from legislative session to go into open work sessions, followed by a closed work session pursuant to the general provisions, Article Section 3-305B1, to discuss a performance evaluation of an individual over whom this public body has jurisdiction to protect sensitive and confidential information. And now we will go into,
Yeah. You need the,
First and the second.
a motion.
Yep, I'll make the motion.
James, second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
All right.
Now we go into open work session for an update on emergency services SWOT analysis. Mr. Lorenzo Cropper and Mr. Timothy Chrysler.
Chrysler.
Chief Tyler, Chief White, can we get you guys to join us, please? Do we have, let's see. Set up here.
Oh, sorry about that.
Hey, what's up, man? How you all doing? Good. Thanks for coming, guys. Thanks for making a long trip out here from Sharptown and Powellville. I know it's a long drive.
Deer country.
Right? You gotta watch out.
Yep.
Too late, wife's already hit me.
Oh. All right, there we go.
And you can just.
Okay, before we get started from left to right, could you state your name and position?
Lorenzo Cropper, Emergency Services Director.
Tim Chrysler, Deputy Emergency Services Director.
I'm Wayne Strasburg. I chaired the task force meetings.
John Tyler, President of Wicomico County Fire Chiefs Association.
Billy White, Vice President, County Chiefs Association, Chief of Sharptown.
All right, thank you all for being here. Renzo, you have the floor.
Well, basically, I had put together a presentation going over a few different options in regard to EMS. Right now, the county spends approximately roughly $7 million on EMS overall. Comes out to roughly $500,000 per station with the 14 stations. So that's including the city of Salisbury. So it spends approximately $7 million overall for EMS. As you can see, there are some other things that it does with some of the other departments and all. There are some challenges for EMS overall, and it's not just local. It's regional, nationwide, in the sense of finding providers. There's a definite shortage of providers and trying to retain them. For example, I did some research on some of the other locals, and I just put some links just to kind of help verify some salaries that are going on, and we also added some issues like with Dorchester County. I don't know if you're aware of it, as of approximately 2 weeks ago at their commissioners meeting, they made a motion to increase their salaries substantially because they were down 8 paramedics, which really was an entire shift of their providers. So they were going crazy on overtime. I also found out this morning that there is another local jurisdiction that's got the same issue, who went with a transport unit concept, and now they are looking at potentially going to a chase unit concept because they don't have the providers. So again, just to tell you that this is not unique to us, this is a nationwide issue. To continue along that path, I will tell you that Wicomico and Worcester County are now the only 2 counties in the state of Maryland without some kind of county-based system. Somerset came online as of approximately July, I believe. Did not hold me on that for sure. So as of right now, it's only Wicomico and Worcester County. The one link I did put up here that I just found was that there is a gentleman who's running for county commissioner in Worcester, has filed, and he did mention the issues with EMS in Worcester and suggested that maybe the county needs to assist their fire companies with providers also. So we're not unique in this situation. This is just a regional, nationwide issue. These are just some standard recommended training. I don't care what you go with. National Registry requires 60 hours of continuing ed every 2 years. Then you have to get some local hours, not just do up some other things that could potentially, regardless of what path you go, that people can utilize. Regardless of what, again, you need to have some of your continuing education inside whatever program you go with. You need quality assurance and quality improvements under your medical direction. And last but not least is a future pathway from BLS to ALS for providers. I did speak to Warwick's program director a couple days ago and got information. And I believe, if I can recall correctly, he's got approximately 10 to 11 students in his second-year program. And all of these individuals have already got jobs. And in his one-year program, he had about the same number. But with these individuals, everybody is competing for these same individuals. Literally. So it's not just people in Somerset or Wicomico, Worcester, Dorchester. Everybody's competing for these same 5 or 6 individuals. So this causes a shortage. I remember Sheriff Lewis coming up a few months ago talking about the shortage with law enforcement. Well, I will tell you, the same thing is for ALS providers. I have been doing this for a while, and that's what we'll say. And I will tell you, I have not seen the salaries jump for ALS providers like I've seen in the last 2 years. If you had told me 2 years ago that I was going to see these substantial jumps, I would call you crazy. Well, I will tell you that everybody's competing, and it's who's paying the most money in a lot of cases is where people are going. So a lot of these figures you're going to see this evening, this is based on salary and benefit. So salary and benefits for a paramedic is approximately $90,000. EMT drivers is approximately $70,000. Supervisors with salary and benefits about $104,000. So regardless of what model I show you, this is straight across the board is where these figures are coming from. Oh, sorry, jumped ahead a little bit there. All right, so the different concepts we're talking about is the 1-in-1, ALS chase vehicle, and the standalone ALS units. This is the ALS paramedic and BLS staffing into the existing departments. Utilizing this method, you would approximately meet your 10-minute response time for about 90 to 95% of your calls, and I'll go into more detail on the next slide how we can make that better. This is our existing fire districts for the county. If you notice, there's a lot of white on that map. Those are the areas that we don't have that 10-minute or less response. A lot of those areas, it may run up to 12, 15 minutes response. Nobody's for it. It's just the way the existing fire stations are located. If you went with this, this is a guess on, you would need a minimum of this many, 46 paramedics, 46 EMT drivers. I mean, a minimum of 4 shift supervisors. There's your estimated cost, what it would cost you annually for salaries. That's not counting upkeep or anything else, it's just the salaries. If you wanted to do a 3-year phase-in approach, that's kind of what we have on this next slide. Starting July 2026, we could do the initial hiring.
You say if we went with this, what are you talking about, going with what?
If you went with the 1-in-1 approach.
Okay, all right, okay. You're talking about one chase unit?
No, sir. This is putting them in the volunteer stations.
Oh, okay, all right, okay, I'm sorry. All right.
And this is a rough idea of what it would cost to do that.
Okay.
And 2027, you would expand it and hopefully have it up and running fully in 2028. That being said, I will be first to admit to you, I don't know where these ALS providers are going to come from. I have to be honest with you, transparent, and that. But to go with more phase 1, you would hire 16 EMTs, 16 medics. This is going to the volunteer stations. This is not a county-run system.
Okay.
Now, the county would have to hire supervisors and have them under them. Would encourage them to launch a QA/QI design. You would do initially 4 stations in the county. The following year, you would do an initial 4 stations. On that figure there is what your roughly cost would be annually. And your last year, you would hire the final 3 stations, personnel for the staff those. So you would have a full countywide deployment. Your cost is now a little better than $8 billion. Then the only other cost that the county would incur is if the county bought the supervisor vehicles and equipped those vehicles.
The 10-minute benchmark, is that a state figure, national?
Some national standards.
National?
Again, there's your long-term outcomes, and this is the same for regardless of what method you decide to go with. Improved out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, survival, reliable response times, a strong volunteer independent EMS system.
Lorenzo?
Yes, sir.
The supervisors, what exactly are they, what are they tasked with? I mean, obviously supervising, but like, what does that look like?
Well, they would also provide that extra set of hands on certain calls. 1710, one of the NFPA standards, talks about having 2 ALS providers on certain critical calls within an 8-minute time frame. This could allow that to help meet that.
So this supervisor would have to be qualified to do
Sure.
those things?
Yeah,
as well?
this would just be
All right.
someone. This would be a qualified ALS person to assist the other units. So if they needed that second provider, they would be there.
Did we talk about how many supervisors would be needed?
Well, initially it would be 4, but if you went with this idea, I was thinking you would need a minimum of 2 on per shift, 1 on the east side, 1 on the west side.
And they would just jump to station?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask you something.
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to put paid, because I think this is a wish list, right?
I'm just giving you different ideas.
Now,
It's a way.
I look at it as a wish list.
That's definitely a wish.
If you put paid EMTs inside with volunteers, how is that going to work? Because the reason why I'm saying that, Station 2 in the city of Salisbury had a problem with paid and volunteer working together because they had a separate chief and they had and I think that if I volunteered for 25 years or 30 years, I'd want to be the one get the money. That's how I look at it. I might be wrong, but how are you going to put someone new in something and pay them and not pay the volunteers, not make them volunteers. They would come out of the volunteer staff because they know their community and the community they serve.
This idea actually turns the money over to the volunteer corporations, ma'am. So that's up to them who they hire.
Basically like what's going on right now. Basically the same way we're being funded right now. This is what this 1-in-1 would do. It would continue
I mean,
to
if
give
you're
it.
satisfied, okay,
Yes, ma'am.
all right. Won't be no problems.
I'm not getting into politics. I'm just throwing ideas
I'm just
out.
telling you how it was.
Yeah, I'm just
They
throwing
weren't
ideas out.
politics either, but,
Chief,
yeah, I'm just trying to avoid conflict.
Is I'm hearing the 1-in-1 option, which is what the county fire chiefs at the time unanimously voted for. But I'm hearing that all these 46 employees, well, really 92, are county employees.
No, not on this option.
Oh, okay, I misread it then.
yeah,
Okay.
the county would fund it, but the
Okay.
funding would go to the
Well, I heard
fire.
the supervisors and I
No,
So right now, if I could just for a moment. So Wicomico County is already funding certain providers to the volunteer fire companies. We're going to talk about 3 different concepts. This first concept that we've spoken to is just adding additional funding to existing processes. This is just, here's more money, go hire more people. That's all we've talked about with this. Now, there is some supervisory roles here, and, whether or not those are county employees or those are independent volunteer fire company employees, I think is a conversation that needs to be had. But right now with this, when we're talking about a 1-to-1, this is just Wicomico County increasing its additional funding that it's already providing to the volunteer fire companies to the extent of at least $9,230,635.
Is this money that's going to be distributed to or increased to the various fire companies? We know that all the fire companies run a different number of calls. Is it going to be allocated in that way, or is it going to be an even amount, or?
I was just going with an even amount, to be honest with you. I did not break it up by calls or anything, because when you're talking about paying someone, regardless of whether they're running 2 calls a day or whether they're running 20.
Still have to have the people.
I think the other important piece with this conversation is that there's currently no caveats to the funding that the county is providing to the volunteer fire companies. So right now, we are providing funding to them. What they choose to do with that funding is in their best, what they perceive to be the best course of action.
My question is, if you're just increasing funding to do what you're doing right now.
This is an option.
This is the option, the first one you're talking about.
Yes, sir.
Where does the supervisors come in? Why are we hiring more supervisors? I see heads shaking down there. Can you answer that question, or you had the same question I asked?
We had the same question.
Okay.
This was brought up during the SWAT meetings when we had those last year. And the same question was going to be, if they're going to be, the fire companies are going to be given the money to pay these people, our employees, we oversee them. What role are the supervisors going to have?
So maybe I should ask you that.
Well, as I said earlier, I would put that second ALS provider almost instantly on the scene to help meet the national standard.
Well, I seen you mentioned in that a chase unit. So you're talking about putting a supervisor in a chase unit? Is that what you're talking about? So you're going to have a chase
On
unit.
each side of the county, they would be backing up the.
So you're going to have a chase unit plus running the system like you're running now, correct? Is that what you're saying?
On each side of the county, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay, all right. Yes, sir.
Just want to make you aware, last year, the Chiefs Association, and that policy is in place now, what he's talking about with the 2 ALS providers, we have an echo policy in place already that puts 2 paramedic units on every call. That's not a new concept. That's something we're already doing. And my department, although much smaller and doesn't run as much as some of the others, we meet, I have a EMS supervisor in my one of our paid paramedics is an EMS supervisor, and my ambulance captain does all the QA, QI. And that, my QA captain, or my EMS captain, who better to do it than the program director of Warwick's paramedic program? So, I mean, we're covered.
That's good.
What I'm seeing here is not an agreement between what you guys are asking and what the fire departments are talking about doing.
I don't think, so from our at least I can't speak for Lorenzo, I can speak for myself. All we've sought to do with this presentation is provide the council with the different options that are available and the rough approximation of those costs. What the council chooses to do with this information is what the council chooses to do with that information.
I understand.
And Mr. Holloway, this is the same thing we went over with you gentlemen and ladies in March or April. After the SWOT study was completed, we came in and had a work session at that time. And we were under the impression that the 1-in-1 had been approved, or that's the way it was going to go proceeding forward. And when we got the notification the week before last about this, it was kind of a surprise to us that we were having this meeting tonight to talk about it, because we thought, you know, this is the way it was going. We didn't know anything had changed or that, you know, there needed to be some sort of update. You know, we were kind of in the dark when we got notified about it.
Continue.
Okay, this is another option, is going with the ALS Chase Unit concept countywide. And the biggest difference you'll see here is you're talking about 9 total units, and they will be strategically placed throughout the county, the 8 units and 1 as a roving supervisor. Projected annual cost is, if you did the dual medics, would be $5.6 million, not counting your supervisors. If you did the single medics, it's about $2.8 million plus approximately $400,000 for supervisors, for salaries only. Wow, it's touchy. Okay.
Use the arrows too, that might help.
Okay, maybe that's what I'm supposed to do. All right, again, there's that figure I was just telling you about. It would take 32 ALS providers to get this going, fully staffed. There's your cost for salaries. If you kept evaluating this and you decided, okay, we want this concept, but I want to add a dual medics to it, like some of the other surrounding jurisdictions, you can see that it would then cost you 5.6 plus your supervisors. This is a fully county ALS Chase system. The voluntary corporations will be doing the transport, and this idea is to leave their monies that they're getting at present and ask that they provide a guaranteed 24/7 driver, EMT, for the transport unit, so that you can still keep your times really good. Again, phased over 3 years. Year 2, you would go up to 7 units as a supervisor. And as you can see, these are rough guesses on the costs of this. Now, I will be honest with you. That here, right here, is where you really need to if you're going to do this concept or look at this concept at all, you would be taking on building these chase unit stations. That's how you get your response down to approximately 8 minutes to cover the majority of the county, because they're strategically placed out throughout the county. And I have a map here where they're proposing to put these. So you don't have as much white as you had on the first map.
say building these stations, what does that entail?
It would be somewhere to house the chase units.
Like,
Another firehouse, but just the EMS. Right.
This is more similar to what Sussex County is running.
Okay.
Okay.
Is this something you guys are, is this something you all recommend, or you would like to see happen, or do you just like the one-in-one?
I know we are pretty set on the one-in-one. And here's just a scenario why I feel that way. As Chief of Powellville, number 8, I'm not exactly sure what road or location that one is on, but it is extremely common to have 2 or 3 ALS calls going on at a time. It's just, that's life. It's all in, they're not always ALS calls, but it's how the dispatch, when the questions are asked, you know, the Pro QA, the whole, you know, EMD code, that's how it comes out. So if there's one arrest going on and say the unit from 7 and 8 are on that arrest, I have to wait for number 6 or number 8 to come to my district. How is that fair to my community?
Right.
How is that fair? Rather than having one in, if there's one in Pittsville, one in Willards, one in Powellville, there's 3 ALS units right there. I'm not trying to pull them from. I will guarantee you in a perfect scenario, we're going to meet the 10-minute benchmark.
Right.
But I would say more times than not, we're not. And I can say that simply because I work in Sussex County, and those medic units, they're what I would call a gold standard Sussex County EMS system, and they don't meet that benchmark all the time. It's impossible. And they have a lot more units than what we're proposing.
For the people that are listening, can you, basic description of ALS, it's advanced life support, basic life support, difference?
Yeah, so advanced life support, that's the paramedics. That is giving cardiac medications, interpreting the cardiac monitors, a lot of different medications that the BLS providers cannot do.
Can do.
So there's a lot more that they can do definitively in the field. You know, they can call, BLS can suspect somebody's having a heart attack. ALS has the ability to confirm that in the pre-hospital setting.
Thank you.
All right, so there's the estimated cost of that, potentially. And there is your phases of it. Again, I point out the capital costs of building stations.
Yeah.
So that now, once they're built, that kind of disappear, but you still have the upkeep of those stations, so there are some ongoing costs.
I noticed Sussex County, most of their chase units just sit outside and the guys sit in them all the time. Do they actually have buildings for each one of the chase units?
Yes, sir.
Do they? Somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Now, one thing, not to interrupt Lorenzo on his presentation, one thing that came out of the SWAT meeting was if it was decided to implement this, there was also going to be funding for 2 EMTs at every station in the county. So I don't know if Lorenzo's got that cost figured into it in addition to what it's going to cost for the paramedics themselves. And the other thing with the units, if you put 2 paramedics in a chase unit, you're going to have duplicate equipment on each one of those units. Because if Lorenzo and I go to a call and I leave Lorenzo and go to another call, I'm going to have the same equipment that he's got at the first call. And then you've got all the maintenance and upkeep to go along with that. Plus, you're going to have backups to go along with that, because if one of the units goes down or some of the equipment fails, you're going to have something put in place. So there's a lot of hidden costs that we explain to you guys when we meet with you all in reference to the budget that we're just not seeing.
And there's 2 units per station in Sussex too.
Yes, they actually have 2 units. I forgot about that, so.
Are you guys seeing a rise in call volume over, say, 3 or 5 years ago? Okay.
Significant.
Dramatically.
Significantly?
Throughout the county, yes.
I know
Salisbury, I mean.
Chief Frampton's back there on his phone. You're at 17,000 calls now?
Yeah, we'll probably be close to 18,000
Wow.
You were at 15,000, what, 2 years ago?
It's about a 4 to 5% call increase for us at every.
Wow.
We did the numbers for the budget earlier this year. What was it then, Rob? I don't have a copy with me. For the budget, the numbers, the increase countywide. It had gone up somewhere around 3 to 5% across the county as well.
So,
Do you have an idea on why it's increased so much? Like, is the population of people just exploded?
Several factors, I believe. I mean, between population and people not having regular doctors, they rely on the hospital. The types of calls we get now compared to what we did 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it's just, I won't say they're not important, but they're, you know, people had their own doctors or, you know, might benefit, but.
Right.
Go ahead, I'm sorry. I didn't interrupt you.
And also what's causing a lot of things to go up, we have senior citizens that are living longer and may need the ambulance call. And especially in the rural areas, you know, senior citizens might not have transportation. But that's why I think that the Tyler Health facilities that are coming will benefit some of the people, like the community health that they're talking about, I think will benefit some of the people, and maybe they'll be deciding to put one down in your neighborhood one day. But that's one of the reasons I think that you have an increase. And no doctors, like you said.
Is that the whole presentation?
No, that was quite a bit more.
but wait, there's more.
I'll be quiet.
Yeah.
All right, again, this is more or less the same. Here's the last concept. This is the county doing the entire program. Both they have hired 8 units, staff at 8 units, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with one paramedic, 1 EMT. Again, the same figures. At the end of the day, your salary initially is going to be approximately $8 million. That's not counting the cost of capital and other figures in there. Talking about the same basic locations in order to get you your 8-minute response time. Again, based on a 3-year time phased-in period, you can see that the first year would cost you just slightly less than $2 million. Second year, you're up to $9 million. Third year, you're right around $14 million. Now, I will tell you that a lot of this money is building these EMS stations. Approximately almost $10 million is in the budget each year for that kind of stuff. As it goes up, it's total cost of about $10 million. I am not a construction person, so is that an accurate number? I don't know. So this is a guess. So there you are there. Benchmarks with city same.
I guess that the per station cost, that would include the vehicle as well?
Well, that was part of the capital in there.
Yeah, because I was thinking that is one expensive building, just to house a vehicle.
No, that's the capital there.
You'd be surprised how much the building costs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
In order to build these buildings, you just don't go out and build a pole building.
Oh, yeah.
There are
Okay.
certain standards that they're going to have to meet through MOSHA or NFPA
Right.
for these folks to have a bunk room in there.
Wow.
It's not just go out and build a building, build a room, put a couple bathrooms in there and say, we're going to park a unit in here. So when you know, it's just, there's a lot of things as Lorenzo can tell you, and everybody sitting here, there's a lot more that goes into this than just saying, we're going to do it.
Does the current volunteer fire system meet those standards?
We're working on it.
Copy that.
I have a question.
Never said we did.
Understood.
Yeah.
I have a question. You say future facilities phase or grant funding. And you know grants is hard to get now because of
That's correct, but
current administration.
That's correct. I agree with you, but we keep our fingers crossed on this, that it could change, I hope.
I hope so too. I'm just saying.
So-
This, to me, this is like a what is it, CIP plan or something. Not, you know what I mean?
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I don't think that's a lot of money. That's why I said it's a wish list.
We're not the only county in this predicament. This is going on across the country. What,
Oh, yeah.
have we looked at other
Oh, yeah.
I would go back.
counties, how they're phasing this in or getting through this large dollar?
A lot of them are doing it over a 3, 5,
Phasing it
7-year time frame.
Yeah.
Because it is expensive.
Yeah.
Regardless of what model you pick, I mean, it's not like, it's quite a bit of money. But if you take it in small bites, maybe it doesn't hurt as much.
Yeah.
So I did want to mention, I did speak to the EMS chief in Somerset County who's going through this, and he was going to try to be here tonight but couldn't. Conservatively, their first year expenses are $17,244, $17,244,800. That's renting space in Princess Anne Firehouse, which is getting ready to end. So that's not a single building, anything being built. So, there's a lot that is going to go into this. An average ambulance now, no frills ambulance, is over $400,000 for a brand new ambulance. I heard earlier, and one of the things I heard was we're one of 2 counties in Maryland that have not gone to a county system. But we've also heard repetitively that every county system is still having overtime issues because there's shortages. So going to a county system isn't a magic fix.
Right.
And I know Lorenzo or nobody is saying that. There's just, unfortunately, we've all been in this. Most of us who have been in EMS have been into it a long time. And the numbers do dwell, and there's a lot of people in this county and in other county systems who are going from one job, taking a day off. I'm personally working 24 hours every other day at 2 different fire stations to help with staffing. There's not a lot of people wanting to do this job. And I would reasonably assume, and I believe it was said before when we had SWAT meeting, a work session, is as county employees, that would not be able to happen. Once you reach your 40 hours, you're done. So, that's a whole nother set of issues that have to be considered with this. We do have some flexibility right now, within the fire stations of, giving somebody a rest period and then,
So if we did option 1, which is the 1-in-1, it would remain in not a county entity. So then you can continue to work the double shifts if you wanted to, right?
Yes, within reason.
Yeah, obviously. Without burnout.
I know there's a lot of places that have policies that you can only work this many amount of hours before
Length
you
of
have
service,
to take,
yeah.
a break,
And if we did the 1-in-1, we wouldn't have to build brand-new buildings.
Correct. They're already staying.
You've got your cap.
Going back, so we're not saying that new stations wouldn't be required to be built, just the Wicomico County would not be funding those. So going back to the question, not all of those stations are up to the OSHA codes, MOSHA codes, that sort of thing. So if we're looking at using a standard for individuals that are doing these jobs have to be living under a certain standard. Not all of our volunteer fire stations meet those standards.
Right, I understand that. Yep. And I mean, these stations are old. I mean, and they've got to have time to get to those standards if they're working towards them.
Yeah, we're in a development phase right now, just in addition to my current firehouse, which is just 3 bays, was $1.1 million.
Yeah.
You know, and because that's an upgraded sprinkler system and everything. And I do agree with what's being said, that maybe we're not all up to standard, but I do want to say this, and this I'm just going to say very firmly. What other entity out there in public safety is getting up at 6 in the morning to do breakfasts and fundraisers? There's not a single police agency that has to do that. The sheriff's department doesn't have to do that. So maybe they meet OSHA standard because they're getting fully funded.
Right.
So
I would just add on top of that, and thank you it's a amazing point. As a former volunteer firefighter at EMT, right there with you. I would just say this would be in addition to the current $9 million that we're already providing in funding.
The biggest challenge that we have is personnel.
Yeah.
And I think if we don't work very, very hard to figure that one out, we're still going to have the same issues that we have right now in terms of response times, because we don't have enough people and we can't produce the people quickly enough, get them trained. And when and if we do, there's a hot market out there, and again, the world's their oyster. So I see that as our principal challenge right now. And we've got to figure that piece out.
And I'll add, I think part of that is, I don't want to say it's the Chiefs Association's problem solely, but that's where, and I know it's been discussed before, where we come together and try to figure out a mainline salary, you know, so that we're not, you know, this company A is paying this right now.
Right.
So everybody flocks, you know, just like Dorchester, right now, people are flocking. 3 years from now, people will be leaving Dorchester to go to Somerset or go wherever, you know, until we, you know, come to, you know, what we will say are, you know, standard numbers, you know, that people can live off of.
We saw it in the field of law enforcement, didn't we?
I don't think anybody sitting in here is against a countywide system. It's just how we're going to go about it and how we're going to get there so that it works for everybody.
Yeah.
And part of the problem, Mr. Strasburg was in those meetings, you have areas like Sharptown, Powellville, and Westside where we're so far out that trying to position things that are going to work properly, cover those areas, and also cover the areas that are more busy, that are in the core or around the core, the Fruitlands, the Delmar, the Hebron, the Parsonsburg area. And said our numbers are going up, so trying to get it so it's going to work countywide is going to be the biggest goal. And like Mr. Strasburg said, you know, the resources there, the providers, everybody that's taking the paramedic program's already spoken for. We suggested several times about a scholarship program where we go out to the schools and try to find these folks and work with Warwick to get them into the start out with the EMT and then go right on into the paramedic, but get them to work out some kind of contract where they come to work here in the county somewhere, you know. Start building. You've got to have something to build with before you can build anything.
When a call goes out and it can't be filled because there's not enough volunteers, it gets kicked to another station, right? And that typically increases response time, right?
So it does, but now we'll say, one of the things that over the past 6 to 8 months that have kind of a shift on the east side is if my paramedic's sitting in Powellville and there's a critical type call, they're going to start that way. They already know, as chief, they have permission to, whether you call it bidding up, jump the call, they're just going to get on the radio and say, I'm available, do you want me to respond to whatever other unit that is? And ultimately, that's the bottom line, that's the way it should be. You know, like Chief White said, I'm not against a county system. I'm not against anything. If it's going to benefit my community, that's the only thing that matters to me. I have no ego. I have been extremely fortunate to be career for 21 years and volunteer for 30. You know, so I see both sides of the fence, you know, but ultimately, my only thing that I care about is what's best for the community.
Thank you. And the last thing I think the public wants to see is increased response times, because that's when people don't make it to the hospital, the house burns all the way down, and, you know, very unpleasant things like that. Nobody wants to see that. So thank you guys for your years of service and what you do. You're dealing with challenges that you've probably never seen 10, 20 years ago, right? It's a different world, isn't it? Yeah. Yep.
I was going to say, when I was on the SWOT analysis, I guess it was, how long has it been now? Like a year and a half, 2 years now?
September of 22.
Well, one of the things that really stuck out to me was how well of a job our volunteer county actually works. And I'll give you kudos to that, because everywhere it seemed on the map, you were under 20 minutes, right? The only place that there was a kind of an issue was on the west side of town near, what's that road? Fire Tower Road. And that was like the 20-minute mark, you know? But like, you guys are spaced in the right places, and I've been to many of the events, the breakfasts, the dinners, and it's a very good community. And yeah, I'm all about supporting you guys. So you know, I don't want to just go right to a countywide system just off the cuff. In my mind, I just want to see if we can't work with what we have, and then you guys get to the point where you want to make that decision if that needs to happen in the future. That's my mindset on that.
I don't envy these gentlemen for having to figure some of this out.
Yeah.
And we're always open for conversation if you need something. We're always willing to talk or discuss these matters. You know, if we can come up with a formula to make this work going forward. I told Mr. Cannon, you know, we have a liaison committee made up from the two organizations. We'd be more than happy to sit down and work on this going forward if we see that there's, you know, we need to progress forward with it, so.
I'll use the old analogy. We're all in the same boat. Let's all row in the same direction. But Mr. Cropper, you got anything else?
That kind of wraps it up.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. That's a lot of information.
Now you. I'm sorry.
Shoot. No, it's just.
It's
a lot.
I just had one more question. You said the supervisor role, that could be volunteer, or that has to be a paid position?
I was on that 1-in-1. I was put that as a career position.
Okay, I just want to make sure I'm on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can't.
All right, and then another question is, how does that hiring process go? Would that, because we're giving the money to the county, not the county, we're giving the money to the fire companies. So who is going to hire that supervisor? Would that be a collection of the counties, or I mean the fire
I did not
companies,
get that
or-
far so I can't answer that
Okay,
question.
all right, just something to think about. Thanks. Thank you, guys.
More questions?
I got one.
All right, Joe?
And maybe it's something you all thought about. Has anybody did you ever consider just buying one or possibly two chase units and placing them in the areas either with the highest volume or the lowest response time? And, I mean, if you have to rent a building you don't have to put the chase unit in it, just somewhere where they can walk in and sit down and have facilities that they need, and just see how it would work for a year or two?
Yeah, Joe, I think
we talked about that before, Wayne.
I think in solving this problem over time, we're going to have to grow into it. And I would suggest to you that a realistic approach to this would be something like you just said, because we can probably source the personnel that we need. We can place equipment in the areas that need the equipment the most, and we'll learn a lot from that. And we can afford to do that quickly, and we can begin to cut down on the response times in those areas I call deserts. You know, they've got issues, they've got logistical issues, they've got personnel issues that they deal with. So I, in my mind, think we grow into this, and we start small like that, and we learn and we grow into whatever we morph into over time. Because
I don't know where the highest volume, I know Route 50 is the biggest issue I see on the east side with accidents.
God, yeah.
50 on the west side.
Oh,
is the
yeah.
biggest. And, you know, I don't know if you
Oh,
put
yeah.
one in Mardella and one in Pittsville or Willards or whatever, you know, just as a trial and see, you know, fire department don't want them housed in their building, you know, so be it. You know, they, you know, rent a building or something, or, you know.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and I think,
That was already.
you
that
know,
was
these
actually-
folks are the folks who can give us guidance on where should we
You
place
see
these.
that in the presentation.
That was actually suggested, Mr. Holloway, and not to bring up any bad blood or anything, but when Station One had their issues with the city, that was actually suggested back at that time to do something along that lines, not with Station One, but
Right.
there were suggestions about trying to do something similar to that, if necessary.
But we didn't see that in this presentation. That's what well, if it's been brought up and talked about, I mean.
I can't answer that question, sir.
Okay.
I'm open to options, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I just give you options, and you kind of tell us what way you want us to go.
Well, none of it's going to be cheap. I mean, you know, even with 2 chase units and the help that you put on them is going to be expensive, but it seems like there'd be a starting point. You know, instead of buying the biggest tractor that you can buy to farm with, you buy the smallest tractor and start farming with it.
Right.
So,
What we can't do is not do anything.
yeah.
Right.
So we have to begin to move this ball down the road. And I think it's realistic to think that we could source the people, afford the equipment, afford the recurring costs. These folks are the experts, you know, they can tell us where these units ought to be placed, but I think we need to get on it. And I think this capital improvement cycle and budget cycle, we really need to tackle this. We really do.
Whatever we do going forward, we just want to make sure that the fire companies have a voice.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Well, and absolutely, because you guys have to deal with it
Yeah.
on the ground, you know, the real life scenarios, so, yeah. It's got to work for everybody. Mrs. Hurley, are we?
Yeah, that's it. I think Mr. Strasburg kind of mentioned that the next step is to look at the capital improvement program
Right.
and the budget, and then we can go from there.
Okay.
I think in the interim, we could get our heads back together.
Right.
And we could talk more about what you just suggested, Joe, and come back to council with, hey, look, this is something that we think we could do, you know, in the next 12 months. And I think this group could pull that together.
Yeah.
Okay.
And present that to you at some point in time.
Yeah, maybe
I
something
won't be
small.
doing the work,
Yeah.
they will.
Something a little
But
more
I think we should-
manageable.
I
Yeah.
think we should do that.
To table some idea, flesh out what your starting point is so that, and it does get traction here, that, okay, we can start discussing it in the next capital budgetary season.
I just think it's
Around the corner.
important that we take action at this
Yeah,
point in time.
absolutely.
We can't afford inaction any longer.
Right.
And additional funding to us would help some of the situation.
Absolutely.
Improve the situation, I should say. So.
All right. Gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Tyler.
You too. Thanks for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Hey, safe drive
You can
home.
say that.
I'm going to email you guys
Okay.
Well, except yours is new now, but I have our schedule for the Chiefs Association, when our meetings are.
Okay.
I had to walk many times.
Oh, yeah, I want.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let us know.
Well,
I mean,
here's what I was saying. Why don't we meet on our regular meeting and bring this up as a topic?
Absolutely.
So that'll be January's meeting.
28th.
Yep. Whatever. No. Our daytime.
The daytime meeting. Yes, yes.
They could park one
All
of
right.
those things in the sheriff's department. Cover the.
No, I'm fine with that. Yeah. But if you want to do that, I think we need to. Yeah.
That's
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much.
See ya.
I'm sorry.
Or at the airport.
No offense, you can be anywhere you want as long as it's not here.
It's going to be a vacuum. You could just leave it. They could pull in there and go to the bathroom.
Right.
TV.
All right.
The help's going to cost money and the equipment's going to cost money. The housing of it doesn't have to cost us anything.
I don't understand. Give me a damn 5-year plan. Just say, hey, this is what we want to do. This is where we're.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay. I need a motion to adjourn from the open work session to go into closed work session.
I'll make that motion.
Second it?
All right, motion and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Yeah, you
Just say
can-
aye.
Aye. Okay.
Yeah.